There is no public transport system in the world that is profitable. Whether you go to London or New York or Melbourne or South America, Latin America, anywhere, it is not meant to be. Does your government hospital make profit? Does your government school make profit?
So why is tariffs in Bangalore so high?
That's a
in
great
metros
question.
And bus.
I used to live in 12th Main, Indiranagar, and we used to play cricket in the middle of the road. And when a car came, we would step aside. So Bangalore was a small town, and if you ask me, it still is in the core in terms of distance. The perception is that it is a long, because of traffic times, but actually it's a very small town.
So when I came to Bangalore, and I actually moved to HSR layout in '98.
You're still there.
And I'm still there, right? There wasn't a road which could connect HSR layout. The closest road was Silkboard. And we requested our employer Infosys. He says, but why do you stay at places which doesn't have roads? Why don't you get a place which has
Good point.
which has roads? So I would go from HSR to MG Road just to have a cup of tea, which would take like 12 to 13 minutes.
There you go.
Yeah.
1998.
So
12
I
minutes.
think.
And there's a SAPA study on India. It says India, which, surprise, surprise, we are an unfit nation. Less than 10% of Indian adults play any sport. The biggest activity that Indians indulge in, I guess, walking.
Walking.
It's the only exercise we get.
So for all big cities, Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore, New York, London, mobility and commute are two big issues that residents and cities face. This is especially so for a city like Bangalore, growing at a very, very explosive stage. 14 million people and over 11 million private vehicles. What we're trying to understand is, as commute time and travel cost have surged, how has it shaped the city or is shaping the city? How is it impacting lives of our people who live in the city? So one is, how did Bangalore get here? Over the years, what has changed? Where we are trying to understand that through multiple lenses. Of course, there is a talk of public versus private. There is vehicle versus footpaths, walking. So Bangalore today faces an uphill task. What should the road from here look like? There are competing priorities. There are roads, potholes that needs to be filled, but alongside some larger projects from metro to suburban railway, tunnel roads to flyovers, all very, very difficult, high capex decisions that we are taking. Amongst all of us, we'll try and sort of get into some of these topics to understand where Bangalore has come, where we are, and what the road from here looks like. To understand this, we have a compelling set of guests today who bring very multidimensional perspective for us. Arun, you and I met first time, I don't know if you remember, in Koramangala, where I was staying as a paying guest. And I just arrived in this city to work on the book from Delhi.
Remember?
And we spoke about a very, very special sort of project that Arun is involved in, which he doesn't talk about, the Ugly Indians, right? And that's where the journey began. But you are much more than that. You are founder of BangaloreWALKS, very, very popular walks, helping people understand the city through walks. And he's also, of course, a great advocate for pedestrian-friendly urban areas. So thank you, Arun, for coming here. Deepesh is co-founder and CEO of MoveInSync. And we connected a while back in my previous avatar as journalist. We've stayed in touch, and Deepesh is also collabing with us for our data report, We Are City. It's an annual data report on India's top cities. Great to have you, Deepesh, on the show.
Pleasure.
And Srinivas Alavilli. I think we first connected on Twitter. I was new to this city and I sent you a DM because you were talking a lot about Bangalore and everything around Bangalore. It was 2020, 2021, and you are now a senior fellow at WRI India, focused on sustainable cities, transport expert, but I will be limiting if I say these are the areas you are. I mean, a whole lot of things in Bangalore. You probably have statistics and facts on your fingertips. So delighted to have all of you here on the show. As we begin, one of the things I wanted to ask is just the mobility history of this city, right? I mean, 20 years back, 30 years back, how did people commute in the city? And how things have changed in cycles. And maybe to start with, you've grown in this city, right?
Yeah, I grew up here, yes.
Can you talk about what was your school travel look like? What did it look like?
I was in school through the 80s and 90s, and I used to live in 12th Main, Indiranagar, and we used to play cricket in the middle of the road. So I'm talking about 1982-83. The main roads of Bangalore had so little traffic that you could play cricket on the road, just to set the context. The only means of transport, public transport, was bus or cycle. I cycled everywhere. That was absolutely normal for everybody. The other alternative was bus and autos. So Bangalore was a small town, and if you ask me, it still is in the core. And I throw a number sometimes that you said 14 million people. When I was in school, I was taught that Bangalore has 3 million people. It was printed in our textbook. It was a static number, which was printed in a ICSE textbook. And so that number is in my mind, 30 lakhs. And every 10 years, we've added a Berlin. Berlin is 3 million city. So if you think of Berlin as a city, and we talk about Berlin in Europe, we've added 3 Berlins in 30 years. So that's our journey of adding people. And when the Bangalore airport was opened, that was 2007-8. They came up with this proposal for a grand airport 42 kilometers outside Bangalore. And every Bangalorean said, no, we are a small town. We want to go around the corner. I live near the old airport, so I know the pain of everyone. And so my view on what you asked is that Bangalore is a small town that grew up suddenly after 2000. Till 2000, if you lived within the ring road, because the ring road came in 2000, it went by bus. It was very simple. I think after the boom came and populations moved to what we would call rural, out of the city areas, which don't have infrastructure. In fact, I believe most of the problems we hear are from people who are outside the ring road. Whereas if we did a serious poll of people who live in the old Bengaluru, which is in the areas near city center, you'd find very different feedback, is my sense.
What about you, Deepesh? You came here 30 years back.
I came in the late 90s here, and
Okay.
work got me here. So when I came to Bangalore, and I actually moved to HSR layout in 98,
And you're still there.
and I'm still there, right? There was no road. There wasn't a road which could connect HSR layout. The closest road was Silkboard. And we requested our employer Infosys. He says, but why do you stay at places which doesn't have roads? Why don't you get a place which has
Good point.
which has roads? And Malini, it was very surprising. We were all young, and with the first paycheck, we got a bike to sort of drive around the city. And to have chai, it would take me 12 minutes to go to MG Road. So I would go from HSR to MG Road just to have a cup of tea, which would take like 12 to 13
There you
minutes.
Srini, you came back from the US to this city, right?
Yes.
And coming from Silicon Valley, right?
Yes.
To here, what
So-
two worlds look like?
The work culture in Bengaluru was very much like the work culture back in California, at least the place I was in. Literally, the day, a week I started my work, there was a brand new Innova waiting for me from the company, because I transferred from there. They had what's called the company lease, and I would have a car waiting for me. So I didn't have to pay 1 paisa for it. It was given to me. Years later, it got transferred to my name, but that was a benefit that I got. And I'll come back to this later, because this kind of attitude is what got us to 11 million vehicles. Every employee gets this in one way or other. Our goal was to make our kids walk to school in Bengaluru. Okay, so 12 years they walk to school. We found a place where the school is less than 1 kilometer. And when they grew up, they cycled to school. My kids cycled to school, just like me when I did. So in Bengaluru also, it is possible to do this if you are able to plan it and make it happen. Not easy, easier said than done, because your workplace may be different and all that. Once you anchor things, you can work around it. So that's what I discovered in Bengaluru. Then I discovered the bus. You asked about the history of Bengaluru's public transport. Big mistake, right? Bengaluru has never figured out that we need a local train system. In Bengaluru city, we have nearly 45 railway stations within the city. Malleshwaram has a railway station. Okay, Bellandur has a railway station. Karmalram has a railway station. Like this, we have 160 kilometers of railway tracks with stations inside the city. But only trains going to Chennai and Hyderabad and Mumbai and all that. They are not going from Indiranagar to Kormangala. That was not the thinking of the train. Whereas in Mumbai and Chennai, it's been 140 years since they created local train. Because Bangalore was that small town, people never realized, why do we need a train, right? By the time we realized it, It was 3 decades late. So that was the history. So thankfully, we have the BTS, which is now BMTC, India's best bus corporation, in my opinion, and only public transport in Bangalore all these years until 2007, 11, when metro started running.
Why do you say best?
It's not
Why
my
do you say
personal
that?
opinion. It's a scientific analysis assessment of bus systems. How do you
Sure.
assess a bus system? If you have 100 buses, how many kilometers can you run with it? How many people can you carry with it? Right? How much money does it cost to operate that? Or in all these parameters, BMTC scores better than anyone else. So it's the most professionally run bus system with a very planned architecture around depots. We have 55 bus depots in our city. Most cities don't have that. So that allows BMTC to expand their services. As we speak, BMTC goes 25 kilometers beyond the Bengaluru airport. So BMTC is a lifeline for millions of people in the city. If BMTC disappears, the city will come to a freezing point.
And Bangalore also has the highest number of public transport buses, right?
Just got beat by Delhi last year by about few hundred buses, because
Okay.
Delhi bought a whole bunch of new buses.
Okay.
It's a tight race right now.
Okay.
Next year, if we talk, BMTC will again be number one. But that's not a fair comparison, because Delhi has 300 kilometers of metro and 7,000 buses.
So, from the 80s, 90s to the last 2.5 decades, with the growth, as this small town turned into this big global city, how have you seen, even if you were not here, I'm sure you have understood how public transport, private transport has evolved. Do you want to talk about the different waves of different mobility sort of modes that has shaped the city since the 80s at least? Arun, you want to take it first and tell us how things have changed?
So, a lot of the stuff here is anecdotal.
Sure,
right?
absolutely.
So, how many people use the metro every day today in Bangalore?
10 lakhs.
So,
10.
so there are 1 million people who use the metro. I'm one of them. If you ask me any question about Bangalore traffic, it is not an issue. I don't face traffic, period. I'm not a minority. I'm 1 million out of 13 who do not face traffic at all, because either I have taken a decision to leave the metro, or I'm lucky the metro is near me. Right? At today, within 2 years, when the other metro lines open, you'll have probably 2 million people for whom traffic is a non-issue. And I would ask the people who chose not to stay near a metro, shift. And I'll tell you why. So in the 8 years I was out of Bangalore, in the beginning of, there were no jobs in Bangalore in the 90s, by the way, for a non-IT person.
For a non-IT
person, I'm an MBA, so we're like boring stuff. There were no jobs, period. In 1993, we had to leave the city. So I lived in Delhi and Bombay. And while I worked for a company, I was sent to London for a year. And I spent 6 months a year in New York. So I've seen the 4 cities that you mentioned. If you live in Bombay, if you want to go to the airport, you have to budget 90 minutes. It's just reasonable. There's no debate, right? And in Bangalore, we want to reach the airport in 20 minutes, all of us. So we never thought, if you compare ourselves to big cities like Bombay, in London, there is congestion tax. So all these cities have figured out how to use market pricing for parking, congestion, all those things, right? So basically, you don't plan to drive to town to meet somebody. You don't. It's out of the equation unless they use public transport, which they have, right? Sure. And so here what I feel is, so my kids don't drive. They've been using metro from a young age. My son doesn't aspire to buy a bike. So when you are used to, I don't know about his kids, but when you are used to using public transport, and you don't aspire to own a vehicle, period. So in one generation, as people use transport, the traffic issue is with the people who choose to drive when they need not.
Got it.
So I'm on this side of the equation, where the other thing is, you have to be smart about when you commute. If you want to go whenever you like and you have to be smart. If you want to go with the herd, you will lose out. I did a survey recently with a friend of ours who lives in Koramangala and works on Outer Ring Road, and she drives every day. So I said, for Monday to Friday, tell me your starting time and reaching time to office. We just did a 5-day data. And we knew the answer before that. She left at 7:30, she reached in 20 minutes. She left at 8:15, she reached in 50 minutes. It was very clear when you left mattered.
So the question actually, what I was trying to sort of ask is, from the 80s to 90s, how did this growth of jobs, people, companies manifest in the way the city commuted, right? Or commutes today?
In the 2000s, when I moved from California, I had about 15 people in my team, and half of them would take auto or bus, half of them would have two-wheelers.
And no company bus, huh?
No company bus. We have a small company back then. As they got promoted and all of our incomes increased, pretty much everyone in my team bought a car. But they wouldn't bring the car to office. They would come in the two-wheeler. I'd ask them, where's your car? I said, it's not for office. It's for other reasons, right? For weekend trips, family outings, going to a movie, whatever else. So I've seen that change a lot. The attitude towards what vehicle you use, when, for what purpose, right? I would say because they're used to two-wheelers, they felt safe driving two-wheelers. Now what I see is that a lot of people that come into Bengaluru or from Bengaluru, they directly get into a car at a very young age.
It's also higher income, right?
Higher
People
income, so access to owning a four-wheeler has become much easier.
Yeah.
And two-wheelers are also quite dangerous, to be quite frank, right? And a lot of people get into one of the biggest thing that no one is studying, and I hope you do, is how much two-wheelers are suffering because of bad roads and potholes and things like that. This is not discussed much. Unfortunate incident happened that becomes big news, but a lot of people have spinal cord issues and various other things that go on with two-wheeler driving. So what I noticed is that people have gone from, it's like going from no phone to mobile phone.
We've leapfrogged.
We leapfrogged, right? Same thing, we have leapfrogged into cars.
Yeah.
I feel that has happened in front of my eyes. Now everyone has more than one car, right? And then this other phenomena that has happened is most of Bengaluru works with Europe or United States, which means your boss is not in your time zone or your colleagues are not in your time zone. So you are on calls, right? I think Zoom has changed Bengaluru more than anything else in our city. So you are now working during your commute. You are now working from home. Your office going, the definition of work has changed, blurred more than other cities in Bengaluru, because people at a certain level, they would plan their commute in a way that they can get on a call and finish the call while they reach home. So if I ask some of my friends why you don't take metro, even when the metro is available to you, this is one answer comes to me. Like I try to take calls from the metro, but it's too noisy and you lose the signal suddenly. But if I'm in a car, I might be stuck in traffic, but I'm on a call. So it's okay. It's better to be on a call in the car than go home and be on a call on the meeting. And then we had the big COVID period, which is all about online collaboration, right?
Yeah.
The IT industry didn't miss 1 second of work during the COVID.
Yeah.
To
So,
my
but
knowledge.
despite all these tools, Zoom, everything, I mean, the traffic is what it is, isn't it?
That tells you that there are a lot of people are not going to work and still we are in this situation.
Yeah,
So
that's
we
what
should
I'm
double
saying.
click on that,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely,
What he
absolutely.
said
That's
is
the point
absolutely
I was-
right.
Yeah.
Why do people in Mumbai don't complain? Because 7 million people use the local train every day. They move at a speed of 30 kilometers per hour. What traffic, they will say? They have other problems like crowding and safety and other things. But they are moving.
Yeah.
If you are in a bus in Bangalore, you are stuck in the same traffic. So the bus is not moving, whereas the metro is moving. So a person that is entirely on metro commute, there is no traffic problem in Bangalore.
What about you, Deepesh? Talk about how you have seen the mobility sort of landscape evolve in front of your eyes.
So I think out of the numbers which we've quoted, 11 million vehicle ownership, at least 25 lakhs, 2.5 million are cars.
Absolutely.
Right. And I think that's the biggest reason of whatever we crib about. What is both surprising but still contradictory or still something to brood is that, see, car ownership in India is looked upon like that you've reached somewhere. There is a very strong correlation
Upward
between
mobility. Upward mobility. Yeah.
Yes. So I think
Aspiration.
aspirations. And I think maybe the car industry, and this is from US, I think they've been able to make it. Like you and I, you won't see people to discuss, okay, which washing machine do you have? Or like which electronics, which fridge do you have? Which television do you own? Have you seen? I have never seen people ask. But they would ask, which car do you have? So I think the mental connection of this device, which is car, is actually way beyond than commute. I think the only thing which has been able to very closely attempt this right now is the ownership of mobile phone. People think of that as the younger generation thinks of the ownership of mobile phone as a way to display that you've arrived. So I think that is is a big reason of traffic, and unfortunately people are more aspiring for car ownerships, and those are the big reasons which I think I have seen changing. I think just for an analogy purpose, when we talk about Bangalore traffic, because as he's saying, right, there are ways to sort of figure it out, and frankly, I'm in the business of office commute, right?
So we'll get into that.
We ferry a
hear
million
more
people.
about
We'll come to that for sure. But I think the problem, think of it as like you've got affluence, right? You're a rich person, you have money, you've bought like a nice 2 BHK, 2000 square feet, like one of the biggest 2 BHKs. But because you have money, what you do after that is you and your wife and your 2 kids, all of you buy a double bed, right? Because you have money. So you go ahead and put 4 double beds in 2 BHK, and then you have a visitor and you say, your house is very small. There is no place to walk. Like, buddy, well, you've put 4 beds in a house which is 2000 square feet. So I think that's the problem, right? You've put 25 lakh cars in a place which has whatever theoretically we have 14,000 of kilometers of road, but not everything is the main road, right? So main road, which is the outer ring road, has still 16 kilometers, which is the one, right, where so many people work. So I think the problem is that high ownership of car and everybody imagining that my car is not the traffic, but everybody else's car is traffic. So that's the big problem, right? You are that traffic. So I would use the office bus as a default option.
What were some markers, some milestones of this shift in commute traffic, commute patterns that you have noticed over the years?
Obviously, with affluence, I also bought car, right? At a certain point in time, got married, bought car, because that was what it was, the design system told us. But for some reason, I also kept car not for office commute. I had changed my employer. I was working with Motorola. They had set up an office in CV Raman Nagar, Bagmani Tech Park in 2003. And I had moved to Marathalli. And the life was simple. It wasn't the white field and the one which we crib about. And I think I chose two-wheeler to commute because Motorola did not provide any buses, etc. Okay. And I think for 6 kilometers, maybe it was give or take again 15 minutes. There wasn't, in fact, to the HAL airport, I would go and pick up my relatives once the flight would land. Because by the time they would pick up the luggage, come outside from Marathalli, I would reach the airport by 10 minutes.
I give this example. If my dad was coming from Delhi, I would look in the sky. There were only 4 flights. This is interesting. Before 2000, there were only 4 flights coming into Bangalore: Delhi, Bombay, Madras, Calcutta. Evening flight. So if I have to pick up somebody coming from Delhi, you see the plane, it lands, as he says, then you go and pick up the person.
It's called live flight tracking.
We would do just the same.
It's a small town.
So almost all cities have grown. I mean, Delhi, in front of my eyes, has grown so rapidly since the 80s that I've lived there. But not every city experiences what Bangalore is experiencing vis-a-vis growth. Now, what is different? Why is Bangalore in such two different world? On one hand, an economy, growth, jobs, everything so rapidly, so attractive as a city, but almost everything around commute, infrastructure, right? Why? How did we reach here? Can you sort of help us diagnose? Maybe, Srini, you want to take that first and then we'll go around.
No, I think the reason why Bangalore growth is different than other cities' growth is the growth is happening at a very high end of it. The growth of Bengaluru is the growth of high income jobs. So what kind of growth Bengaluru has experienced is what we need to look at. Double click on that. The kind of growth that brings people, startups looking for talent. Why does no one leave Bengaluru? This is a very important question. People complain a lot, obviously. Mostly people that live outside the outer ring road or work outside the outer ring road complain this. Fair enough, right? They're paying taxes and they're not getting what they deserve from the city. They need to make a lot of noise. I am in full support of people criticizing, complaining about all that. The point is that the growth has come with all of these other things. The growth is meant that you want a 3,000 square foot villa, which is in the middle, is closer to Tamil Nadu than Karnataka, right? And then you work in a place that is in the middle of a big tech park where there are 3,000 cars in the parking lot. People that come out of some of the big tech parks, I won't name them, it takes them 40 minutes to sit in the car and come on to outer ring road will take 45 minutes.
I will talk
So
about
is it a planning problem? Is
Yeah.
it a people's aspiration problem?
All of
Or
it, all of it. You can't blame people at all in this, because people are trying to get ahead in life.
Yeah.
People are always trying to look for the best opportunities. People commute long hours, long journeys and not access metro, not because they want to kill themselves, because the life takes them that way. In Bengaluru, the average person, young kids life moves like this. They come into the city, get into some kind of training, either they get campus recruited out of the college, out of Davangere or out of whichever part of India, they come into BTM. That's where their life in Bengaluru begins. Why BTM? PGs. That's where you can start your life.
How does income manifest in commuting? Is it private transport you are talking about? Okay,
Obviously.
Okay, got it.
Income manifests in two ways. One is vehicle ownership. Two is stigma. Now that you made this much money,
You can't take
everyone
bus.
expects you to be in your car. Your parents and your friends will look down upon you if you are going in a bus. At least that's a feeling that people have. It's no longer true. If you go in 500 series bus on outer ring road, 9 out of 10 people will be carrying a laptop right now. If we walk in right now, right? So that we crossed that barrier. But still that 25, we said 25 lakh cars.
Yeah, 25 lakh.
Private, 25 lakhs.
25
In
lakh
reality,
private car.
that might be 10 lakhs only. Okay, on any given day, how many
Out,
cars are
on the
out
road.
on the road,
Huh.
right? Because not everyone is
Yeah,
going.
yeah, that's correct.
But it's offset by people that are coming from Hosur, coming from Andhra, wherever. And many cars in the city are not registered in the city. They're registered in Mysore, they're registered in Davangere.
Or
Nobody's
Tamil Nadu.
counting that. So it's not that many cars also. But even with a small number of cars, the road capacity problem comes in. So the number of income of people has grown, but the length of the roads has not grown.
Can you
And
dive deeper into it on the road network in the city, even as vehicles have grown so rapidly, road network? Just that bit before I...
That is a planning thing, Malini. So if you go to Jayanagar or Kormangla, you have a grid system. 4th main, 5th main, 10th cross, 11th cross. You go to Indiranagar, 12th main. 12th main, good enough. Okay, where is the 12th main on Sarjapur Road? Where is the 3rd cross in Whitefield? It doesn't exist. There is Madhapura Main Road, Whitefield Main Road, Vartur Road, Sarjapur Road, Harlur Road. Aste. So there is no interconnectivity. What we call as the arterial, subarterial, second tier road network didn't exist. So when you are given permission to the eco spaces and eco worlds, know that 1 lakh people are going to work in this building. You would make plans for their water, you make plans for the waste, you make plan for the electricity, you didn't make plans for the roads.
And the parking.
And well, they made arrangements for parking. Every single IT employee in Bengaluru gets free parking. This is the biggest policy fail. While we don't have roads, we gave free parking. Now what are you telling? You suffer whatever you want to suffer, but we give you free parking. So what are you telling your employees? Come in the car. We'll
Yeah,
take care of
and
you.
along with it, the lease programs, which
The lease program, the interest programs, driver salary reimbursement. These are the policies that we have in our city.
Sure.
So high income means all of these things.
Sure.
The nature of jobs led to explosion of vehicles ownership. And the nature of work led to people preferring going in a car.
Sure.
Only those that have realized that I would rather spend 1 more hour with my kids in the evening to play or learn music have shifted to metro. That's how we went from 5 lakh people using metro daily to 10 lakh people using metro.
So you spoke about 3 things: population sort of jump, explosion, migrant workers coming in, 2, commute within the city because people are changing jobs, their residence, kids' school. That's the second. And third, lack of planning. You plan for this massive campuses with everything, water, sewage, everything inside, but the cars getting into those, you have not factored in, right?
Yeah.
What about you, Arun? What's your sort of take on how did we get here?
Let me give you a slightly philosophical answer because I think finally 14 million people are taking decisions on how to move. So it is philosophy. So last month during the Deepavali weekend, I think it was a common meme that Bangalore is empty. Okay, and I thought of actually going around the city and showing how quickly I can move and filming it. But 50 people beat me to it. Everyone was saying that. So what it showed me is that if you want, we are discussing data, traffic, simulations, but that was a perfect use case where there was a holiday. For some reason, a lot of people left the city. And it showed that we have a pure capacity issue. The roads are wide, the roads are clean, the road distances are small. I drove everywhere that I ran. I just enjoyed it. I was here for that weekend, right? And they used to joke that when you have a Bangalore Bandh, it's so peaceful. So we have to redefine the problem. It's not a traffic problem. That's I would say we have got, it's a capacity or carrying capacity issue, and you have to manage it. So when you have a carrying capacity, it's just like you got people standing in line for a train. So the second thing I want to begin is culture. Bangalore has no culture of organized public transport. Go to Bombay, it's unbelievable. People are standing in line before the bus comes. And when the bus comes, everyone gets in because there is a level of predictability. If I stand in line, I will get my place. It's a culture thing because it's a public transport city. Bangalore has never had a history of public transport culture.
True,
it's a private transport culture city where I have my cycle, my two-wheeler, whatever. That culture cannot break in this generation. It can break in the next generation. So kids who are brought up on public transport will think differently than people who are brought up on their cycle and two-wheeler. So even if we just took what he just said, all those things applied to Bombay, I bet people will not buy cars there because they're used to
alternatives.
They're used to trains. They're used to, now they've got a metro.
Where will I keep my car?
There's no place.
They will ask.
The perception is that it takes too long to drive. Now, of course, they've got better roads.
But there is also alternative, right? There is a good, efficient alternative for me to take a local train to reach my office, right?
It's not like that. When I lived in Mumbai, the roads were jammed. To go from, Santa Cruz to Nariman Point would take 1.5 hours. And you just move in.
Absolutely.
Right? So in that scenario, you would not buy a car. You'd rather use public transport. Bangalore is getting there. Today, if I'm a young person and I have to choose between buying a car versus moving to the metro, I might save money, move to the metro. So I'm thinking the generation which sees traffic as the problem might not aspire for cars. That is one cultural issue. The other thing is what he mentioned. I have a very strong view on this, that who do you blame? Okay, something has gone wrong, right? So I met a bureaucrat recently who was previously chief secretary. Now he said in 1999, nobody knew we were going to boom.
Yeah, sure.
So the thing is, if you're in charge of the city in 1999, Outer Ring Road was a vision. When Outer Ring Road was built in 2002, the only campus in it was Intel. And both me and Deepesh are runners. So we used to do, he was not here that time, I used to do we used to go for trail runs, starting at Koramangala on Outer Ring Road. And Intel was the only, it was all fields. It's unbelievable that in 2003, 2004, there were rice fields and coconut plantations, and some parts of Ring Road were 1.5 lane. Unbelievable. 15 years back. So the decision makers at that time had no clue. So they say, like, how, if I say I'm going to build for next 10 years, you'll get laughed out. You cannot do that in government too. So we don't have a culture of building ahead when we know growth is coming. I'm not trying to defend that, but the lack of planning was more, we're shocked. But what I find is troubling is what he mentioned. Today, eco space, I will call it out. It takes 30 minutes to leave your own campus. So I would imagine that a tech park where all the world's smartest logisticians, transport planners, drone manufacturers who are designing the world's transportation systems have not taken it upon themselves to manage their city. So if you take the microcosm called ecospace, they have not been able to manage their own people and movement. So car owners, I have a grouse against them for that reason, that in any other country in the world, they would have to pay for parking for congestion. My point is, if you want to have a free society where everyone can do what they like, it will fail. You have to have regulation, you have to have fear of the law, and you have to have trade-offs. So we want the freedom to go whenever we want to go to office. We want to reach in 20 minutes. We want a free trolley. It can't work. There has to be either some sort of controls or rules or enforcements. We don't have that. No single-occupancy cars. What I'm saying is every local community has to manage their own traffic. It's a management issue. So I think we are failed as a ability to manage the volumes that we have and given too many freedoms. Rather than traffic is a problem. Because none of us want to follow rules. We want to go when we like. There is no parking. Bangalore, we are so entitled, we don't have to pay for parking. Until a few years back, you could pay on
That's the worst thing.
Wipro employees on MG Road would park their car full day on Church Street. And Times of India. So Church Street has 25, okay. 7:30 AM, they'll park, go to office, whole day to park there for free. Think about it. So we don't want to pay for parking.
The planning issue that you brought up, it is clearly a governance failure. It's an institutional failure. Yes, 99 you don't know you are exploding. Maybe 2003 you don't know you are exploding. 2005 you know. 2010 you know. We are now in 2025. What have you done then? I'll give you this example. In Bengaluru, there are 3 major employment clusters. One came up in the 70s, late 70s, Electronic City, which is incidentally the smallest of these 3 clusters. I work there every day. Yesterday I was there. 2.5 lakh people work there. Number 2, Whitefield area, ITPL, all of that, right? That's about 5 lakh people work there now. Number 3, the mother of all employment areas in this continent, probably the world.
Yeah, the world.
17 kilometers, 15 lakh people work there.
ORR.
ORR. Okay, now look at metro's journey. Where did metro begin? Construction began in 2007. First line opened in 2011. Where did it go? MG Road to Indiranagar.
Right.
Does it connect to any of these places? No. Then comes Green Line. Goes to Kanakpura Road, Malleshwaram. Nice places. None of them connecting to these jobs. Right? Then comes Purple Line. Stops at Bayapanhalli. Somehow shies away from going to Whitefield. Planning failure. Why? Because there's a railway line and the metro couldn't go on top of it. It took 3-4 years before metro reached Whitefield. Floodgates opened. Metro ridership doubled once metro went to Whitefield. Why do you think that is? Because people work in Whitefield. People don't work on Kanakpura Road. People don't work in Malleshwaram. People live there. So this is the understanding of how the city moves that should drive the planning process. In 2025, November, we are sitting here, 2 months before today's date, the first time, the second area of employment, Electronic City, got the yellow line, which is running at right now 15 minutes frequency. When it started, it was 22 minutes frequency. Why? Because the order in which the trains arrived delayed. Perhaps first time in the history of Indian metro construction, civil work is done, stations are done, no trains. So we have huge infrastructure looking down upon us, nothing running on it. For years, more than a year that happened. Isn't that a governance failure, planning failure? It's not blaming this agency versus that agency, but we have to take a bigger picture look. It's a complete and utter failure. And the mother of all employment areas is which one? Outer Ring Road. Does it have a metro? Under construction. Okay, you can ask anyone in this room when that will go live and you will get completely different answers from people. Because it's like that old story, right? Crying wolf. Nobody believes when that will actually come. I am pretty sure it will come in 2027, but my own friends don't believe me when I say that, right? So if you are, now you've seen the Intel come and 100 other Intels come on Outer Ring Road, why didn't you prioritize that line metro?
So
Why
poor
didn't
planning.
you prioritize suburban train? Suburban train line goes parallel to Outer Ring Road. People are so enamored with metro, we forget about the train lines that exist.
Yeah.
This is a big fail, huge fail. How can you have 70 lakh people use the local train in Mumbai? Some 30 lakh people use local train in Chennai. They have 2 local trains. Delhi has its own local train. I'm not talking about metros here.
Yeah, suburban.
You could have done any of this on Outer Ring Road.
Deepesh, what about you? I mean, your reflections on how did we get here, and also diving deeper into the office commute. It's an area that you have data also on. Help us understand what kind of commutes, how that commute time has been going up, and how far people are traveling for office commutes.
Sure. I'll just come to the second question in a minute, but I think I just wanted to sort of put my thoughts on what both Arun and Srini spoke. See, I think I agree, and that goes without saying, that there is a certain failure, and I think a lot of it is because we don't look mobility or commute as a problem. I think there is a metro, there is BMTC, there's a department which unifies it, but I don't know how powerful that department is.
BMLT.
BMLT, yes, BMLT. I think the city needs a mobility CEO, right? Obviously with money and budget, which is what all corporations have. With that, and we'll come to the solutioning part later, but I think that's the important part, right? You have 45 lakh people using BMTC.
Yes.
45 lakh, 10 lakh here. So you have to figure it out. If out of 1.4 crore people, let's say 1 crore people commute every day, what options do you have and where should you channelize the fund, which is what like whatever entrepreneur or a CEO would do. I think that's what. And a part of it, I think I probably don't agree with Srini exactly, is that while not everything is fixed, but I also feel that individuals have to have some responsibility, Srini, because that's the very easiest thing that, okay, you've got the metro, till you've not got the metro, that's the easiest thing. But even if you've got the metro, people would crib about there's no last mile, etc. I think everybody needs to do a little bit of their effort to look at a synchronized way, that if I have to go out every day in my car, then there's only so many cars which will come on the road. So I think that was my view, that we all need to be responsible. While we can obviously blame a lot of it to the government and planning, but I think genuinely I feel as individuals, 1.4 crore Bangaloreans which stay here, a part of it is our
I'll
responsibility
support
as well.
his argument here.
But last mile connectivity is an issue. It's not just for the well-off. I'm saying for poorer people, even worse.
Correct.
Right. I mean,
Agreed.
I've lived in Delhi
Yeah.
very long, right? $10, you can cover 2 kilometers in an e-rickshaw, or more than 2 kilometers.
Yeah.
For poor people going to work, getting into a shared e-rickshaw, it's cost efficient, environment efficient, everything, right? And it solves my problem. I get off a metro, I don't have to
Shared autos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Shared
I mean,
commute.
last mile connectivity, let's not discount. Autos
Yeah,
are
I
not
think-
available unless you book from your app, right?
Right.
And I know that poor people who come to work in the households,
Don't have
they don't have a smartphone sometimes, right?
I just sort of put in some perspective of data here. The amount of commute time which has increased in Bangalore is highest as against the country. The average commute time in 2024 was around 54 minutes one side. Now for Bangalore, that has become 63 minutes one side.
1 year.
In 1 year, this has increased drastically in Bangalore, which is, let's say, 15%. It has increased for Bangalore. In India, at an India level, this number is 5% increase. So I think the highest is in Bangalore, which has increased from 54 to 63 minutes is the highest. There are two reasons to it. One obviously is the traffic, etc. The second is the distance of an average Bangalorean as of last year would commute around 17 kilometers. Now, because the city is growing, obviously because real estate gets expensive whenever you stay closer, and also the tech parks are also growing, right? Now you've got North Bangalore, which is expanding towards Bangalore. So that distance from 17 kilometers has also increased to 19 kilometers. So I think that would mean that every day, the number of days you are commuting to the office, and as per our data, approximately because companies are pushing return to office, come back to work, work from home is actually getting minimized.
Going away.
Yeah, it's almost going away, right? People are pushing. So around 4 days people are working.
Yeah.
And frankly, that was the number even before COVID, while it was not announced, but people were not working 5 days. They were actually working 4 days only, while it was not publicly disclosed. So I think that is one reason that traffic is increasing, because people are more showing up. And the second is that commute distances are increasing. So approximately 8% of yours and my life, average person's life, we are spending just for office commute.
Just for perspective, Deepesh, so 58 to 60?
No, 54 to 63.
63.
Yeah.
What did that number look like for Hyderabad and maybe Bombay or Delhi, whichever city?
Yeah,
you
I
have
think
the number
except Delhi was 1 hour plus, but Delhi, the distance is that 19 kilometers is around 23 kilometers, because it's a combination of Noida, Delhi and
NCR.
Gurgaon. Yeah, it's an NCR.
Yeah.
That's a higher geography. But for all the other cities, the number is below 60 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. And from what our data shows, that Pune seems to be on the rise, but they certainly not reached the level.
Got it.
And while we've spoken about Hyderabad on the side, I think Hyderabad, the commute time is not increasing so drastically. And maybe it could just be that the influx of population there is lower as compared to Bangalore. But and frankly, maybe the infrastructure at some places are better than ours.
You know, all good global cities have very well-oiled public transport. I think it's one of the biggest marker of it.
Yeah.
And also affordable transport with last mile connectivity, everything factored in. And coming from there, help us understand where Bangalore is from a public transport. And also, I'm told one of the highest, steepest public transport from a fare point of view. It's expensive here. So one is just the expanse of public transport in Bangalore and different modes, bus, suburban, metro, all that, as compared to what typically you see global cities and other Indian cities like Delhi and Bombay?
We have a management of problem of vehicles, right? Who manages it? Traffic police. The only agency which has authorized to manage by saying don't go fine is the traffic police, right? An idea came up and you should call them the mobility police. So basically we have got the example I give is of Majestic Station in Bangalore has got four. It's got the metro, it's got the railway system, it's got the local buses, and got the interstate buses. So they all meet at one point. You cannot walk from one to the other even today. So what that tells you is that you have different people doing different things and there's nobody in charge, right?
Yeah.
So even if each of them is world class, the best metro, the best bus, if it is not coordinated, it will be a mess. Our issue is management. So until we get a time where we have a chief mobility officer, a mobility police, and my pet thing, pedestrianization is not there. The thing is, we are not
looking at it in an integrated manner.
Yes, I think
and we'll
that's
come to that. We'll
so
absolutely come
so
to that.
We clearly don't have it in
Yeah.
Bangalore. I know that London has it from
Yes,
what I've read.
absolutely.
And I'm guessing that is so. It's a management problem. It is not a technology or yes, the coaches came late. I agree, but the fact is, it's not about that. That why did even today MG Road station is a great example. We are building the station. There's no connectivity at MG Road. When the metro was conceived, the only interchange they conceived was Majestic. In the plan of a city's metro, they didn't conceive that MG Road be an exchange. So now the MG Road station has got built after closing Kamraj Road for 2 years. It's not next to MG Road. It's in the past. Someone made some mistakes. So as a city, as a country, we don't want to take tough decisions where someone gets hurt. Some lobby gets hurt. So it's not which lobby is right. If you want to manage, you have to take a tough call. I don't see any of our leaders taking tough calls.
What you were talking about is siloed approach to different
That I
aspects.
think.
But we'll come to that. Yes, Sri. So public transport and looking at Bangalore and also at a global level, because all good global cities have well-oiled public transport, both in terms of networks, frequency, fares. Help us understand Bangalore in a...
Right, Bangalore public transport, like Arun mentioned earlier, is not a culture of public transport because of the nature of the city. The high altitude, the beautiful weather, public sector, employment, good bus service, and you could get on a cycle and old Bangaloreans tell me I don't even have to pedal. It will take me to Jayanagar if I'm on high grounds, right? It's an altitude thing. So there are so many things like that. So that never made people want to build that, right? That's why the suburban train doesn't exist. It wasn't seen as super important or urgent. And then when the growth happened, our reaction was not fast enough, right? You built your house, he gave an analogy. My analogy is like this. You built a house, you have a guest room, great. You got a couple visiting you, you can feed them, they can sleep, but you have 100 guests coming in, what are you going to do, right? That's what happened to Bangalore. Without any warning, your 2 guests brought 98 other guests with them. Boom, you're stuck with whatever you have. So public transport is the lifeline of any city, anywhere in the world. Why is that? Because mobility is fundamental to human aspiration. If you need to get to your school, your college, your job, when the Shakti scheme happened, so many women are now earning more money because of Shakti.
They're able to commute.
They're able to commute. And instead of studying arts or commerce, nothing wrong with that, they're studying STEM because that college is 20 kilometers away and the parents may not allow the girl to go out there. Now they do. So this is how mobility changes and shapes lives of people anywhere. In a big city, mobility is about quality of life. It's about how much time in a given day you spend commuting versus other activities, right? In Bengaluru's average IT employee's life, the day begins with commute, work ends with commute, over. Nothing else left. You go to Rangashankar on a Wednesday evening, you won't find any IT people there. But there's a beautiful Kannada play going on there. All the Jayanagar, Indiranagar types will be there. That's it, right? So there is no activity post work. So public transport enables that. Recently, I was talking to someone in Ahmedabad, and Ahmedabad is going to apply for Olympics in 2036. And we are talking about Ahmedabad is one of the best cities for public transport in India right now. It has metro, it has bus, BRTS, it has everything ongoing for it. Every Olympic stadium must have public transport connectivity. You can't apply, a city cannot get an Olympics games unless every sporting avenue has a public transport connectivity to it. In Bengaluru, the story of public transport is one hero all these decades, that is BMTC. But in my view, BMTC is the lifeline of Bengaluru. Okay, Namma Jivana Dhare, we say, right? That means it's a lifeline for the city. If BMTC, I was recently talking to the Joint Commissioner of Traffic Police, Mr. Karthik Reddy, and he shared this anecdote in a public forum, so I'm repeating it. BMTC was the employees of Transport Corporation employees announced a strike for wages, some other issue which is immaterial at this point. So tomorrow there is going to be strike. All bus employees are going to strike. And the traffic police knew that when that happens, you are going to see a surge in private vehicles and an increase in air pollution. Both of these things happened before, by the way. So we have some background on this. Now, the BMTC has said that we are talking to the employees, they may not strike. We may run full services. We are not calling off services. Please, people, you can count on the bus. Okay, they made an announcement as such. The day came, in some parts of Karnataka, there was some strike. There was zero strike in Bengaluru. Every bus ran on time. Every employee came in. 18% more vehicles came on the road.
Because of fear.
So what does that tell you? That many people are choosing bus instead of their personal vehicle, and they're worried that they may miss the bus or bus may not exist, so they come in the car. So if there is any bigger proof for the power of bus, this is it, right? And it's coming directly from the house. The other anecdote he tells is, in all public meetings, is after the yellow line opened, 37% less vehicles are recorded on Hosur Road to Electronic City. So that many percent, so about 60,000 people take the yellow line, 37% cars have reduced. So public transport is that powerful, right? Everyone cannot take public transport. You might have a...
Can you dissect public transport? There is bus, there is suburban railway, there is metro. And what are the pros and cons of different modes of transport?
Great question. So public transport is a whole gamut of things. There is a mass public transport, which is the metro and train, and then there is public transport, which is the bus, which is also mass in certain way. It's like each bus can carry 50 cars in it, right? That's mass. And then there is intermediate public transport, that is the e-rickshaw you're talking about, that's the auto we're talking about. And then what is called an NMT, non-motorable transport. NMT, as the name indicates, is walking and cycling. So all of this together is the public transport.
Okay.
The bus, the metro, the train, the tram, things like that, the pod taxi, all of those come under public transport. And then the autos and the last mile connectors come under intermediate public transport. The name itself says IPT.
Okay.
And then there is NMT, which is a non-motorable transport. You need all of them. Why? Because of the last mile and first mile. You can have the most beautiful metro station, but what's the point if you can't get to it?
Sure.
Right? A lot of people drive to the metro station, look around, where can I park? Oh, no parking, drive along. Keep driving. You lost a person on public transport. So you should make that person think at home that let me not take out my car to go to metro station. Give him another way or her another way to reach the metro station. And this answer may change. If you are living in Whitefield in Vartur, there are narrow lanes. You cannot put a bus there, right? And we don't have small buses. That's another controversy we'll get to later. But so you need to have abundance of autos in places like that, or mini tempo trucks or things like that. When you're talking about Jayanagar, you have a good road density. You can go from A to B in 10 different ways, right? So that means you could run feeder buses. You could run different ways of reaching that metro station, all of that. So it's a public transport is a integrated version of multiple modes of transport. That's why we call it multimodal integration. The technical way of saying what Arun was saying earlier is multimodal integration, MMI. India has never been good at it for various reasons. Cities like Delhi have cracked it with the e-rickshaws, which by the way are hugely criticized for the safety record, right?
And also clogging the traffic.
That's a rich people's problem, not a poor people's problem, because you're trying to solve, remember, we are solving multiple problems, right? But the actual problem is them blowing up and people toppling. But public transport, the job of public transport is a service. It's equivalent to running a government school or a government hospital.
Is it typically subsidized across the world, public
There is no
transport?
public transport system in the world that is profitable. Whether you go to London or New York or Melbourne or South America, Latin America,
Or
Thailand,
Bombay
Singapore,
or Delhi?
anywhere. It is not meant to be. Does your government hospital make profit? Does your government school make profit?
So why is tariffs in Bangalore so high in,
That's
in
a great
metros
question.
and bus?
The bus tariffs are not very high. They were high at some point of time, but they haven't grown, right? Everything grows in the city. I mean, inflation catches up
Sure,
with
sure,
everybody,
sure.
right? But the public transport is usually kept away from that by subsidizing by the concerned government department that runs it. So, bus is the Bengaluru bus system runs under a loss, about 100 crores per month. They are in the red
100 crores per month.
per month.
This is
okay?
before the free ticket thing that came in or
After.
after?
Yeah.
Before
The
that,
free
it-
ticket has no bearing on this
Okay,
in the
got it.
sense that it's free for you, but BMTC gets the money from the government.
Sure.
So it's not really free.
Okay.
There are some nuances there. Like if 100 women travel, the government is paying only for 80 women.
Got it. Got
They are
it.
not paying for all 100, which is really weird if you ask me, but I hope the transport minister and finance minister are listening to your podcast and address this. But the metric is how much does it cost to run 1 kilometer? How much do you earn for 1 kilometer? Today, the BMTC spends 82 rupees per kilometer to run the bus and earns 60 rupees per kilometer. So that's 20 rupees. Multiply by 7,000 buses, you get to 100 crores. So if that's called a gap funding. And almost every city, every state, whether it's in India or anywhere in the world, provides that. Why is it so important? So more than 400 cities in the world offer free public transport. You go to Melbourne, take a flight
These
today.
are all developed countries.
Developed countries. Free public transport gives return on investment bigger than the cost of making it free.
So are you saying a country like India, which may not be developed yet, we are developing, can afford free public transport?
Who is spending money on bus? It's you. You and me. We are paying for the bus. We can choose to do it the way that we want.
Sure.
So it's a policy issue. So you don't necessarily have to make, for example, you charge more in the airport bus.
Does anyone in Bangalore know how much we lose on the airport bus? Like, do you know?
No, I
the
don't
buses
know.
are going empty.
Why don't you talk about
Yeah.
it?
So it's a layman's question, and there's a deeper point here. We have a bus from the airport. I've never seen it full, and it goes. It's always like some three people, the conductor, and one beautiful Volvo bus.
While going, not while coming.
Whatever. But it instinctively tells you that it is not running to capacity. Instinctively, we have got overcapacity. We've got overcapacity in one part, a luxury bus. Okay. I have tried through public data to find out how much are we losing on Volvo buses every month. I don't know the answer. But as a society, we are comfortable with that, which tells me that the framing of the problem is a rich person's problem. When we frame transport, we're framing it from a car owner's point of view.
Yes, absolutely.
The framing of, when you say traffic is the problem, it is for a person driving a car who, because that person is driving, can't do anything else.
Yes.
If they were in a cab, it's not a problem because it's not downtime, right? So we have framed our problem, in my view, for about 10% of the commuters of the city. And that is influencing policy for the city. Why do we have an air-conditioned airport bus? Because people who fly planes want it and don't use it because they will book a cab also. I've had people argue with me that if I'm alone, I might use the bus. But if there are two people, it's cheaper to take cab. Because the cost, bus ticket is 300
argument.
bus ticket is 300 rupees. But no predictability on time. Cab I get immediately, it's 800 rupees. So what happens is, the tipping point is, if you're a solo traveler who's not, it's a very, very small segment of people for whom that expensive services run all the time, right? So if I know the cost of subsidy that is given to Vayu Vajra, can I apply it to solve a poor people's problem? If a policymaker, I will bet I can make more people solve more people's problem. So that's the example is, when I lived near the old airport, we used to argue how many percentage of people drive to the airport in Bangalore. Maybe like less than 1% of Bangalore.
We used to have auto stand there.
Yeah, there used to be
So
auto
the
stand.
point being that for that 1% of people who drive to the airport, you want to make a mess of the. So the thing is, we never think of the greater good in our policy thinking. We're always thinking of the minority rich person. That's my strong view. It's not a socialist view. It's a view that who are we solving for? And I think all the discussion by framing it as a traffic problem, it's a problem of people who use private cars only.
But why are you making the discussion either or? I thought it could be and.
It can.
It
but
is,
It's
it
a
is.
priority issue. It's priority.
It has to be end.
You need to
No,
look at
I
it
think
from,
what he's saying is it's skewed towards
Nobody's
drivers
debating
of
why
cars.
Why is it not in the news? But Shakti is debated. So as a society, we don't. I'll tell you why I'm saying this. I went to Outer Ring Road and I asked how many people in your tech park do not drive in?
Do not drive.
Do not come by car. How many use public transport? They don't know. I've done an anecdotal survey of 4 tech parks, but trying to solve the problem in my own limited way.
Yeah.
And said how many.
I'm working on this. I want to
So
share
I'll tell you what I
data
did
on
next.
this, yeah.
I went to the security cabin, and companies in their self-interest have only one entrance for cars and pedestrians. Every tech park has one gate. So if I want to walk into Marriott Whitefield, I have to walk through the boom. Like there is no footpath entry into Marriott. The point being that even nobody is even counting the number of people who are not in their own cars. So if you're not measuring it, you don't. It's not even that we are not solving for the non-car person. We don't. They're
Data
invisible.
is not.
They're invisible.
There is
So that is the core issue, that all our problems are for people who want to reach faster, signal-free corridors, overpasses, underpasses. But we don't even know how many people don't use cars. There's no data. I have asked every mobility person, how many people walked on Outer Ring Road today? Nobody knows.
Why don't you talk about walkers in the city?
Yeah.
Footpaths and walking and walkers. How has that evolved?
Connected to our earlier conversation,
Yeah.
because we spoke for an hour and they didn't come up.
Yeah.
Which to me is a problem. That we spoke about mobility, commute.
Yeah.
We didn't think that walking was a component of
Alternate.
that. I think it is the most critical component.
Absolutely.
Because nobody knows how many people walk. And so the dipstick survey I did showed that at least 25% of people of the numbers in ORR go to work. Who are they? Now think of a company hierarchy
25% people?
of people who go into a tech park, walk into the tech park.
Walk
They
into
walk
the-
in. They may have come by bus, metro, but they walk that last mile.
Okay.
everyone is a walker at the end of the day.
So who's
Even
the
if you're a car owner.
Only if you have a chauffeur-driven car which drives you to your place of work, which is less than 1%, are you not a walker? Because
Okay.
then if you drive a car, you have to look for parking.
Yeah.
Right? So if you have to look for parking, you have to walk that last mile. So everybody is a walker. We are not designed for that. We think of bus traveler as not a walker, but the bus person is a walker. They have to walk to the bus stop. You can't drive your car to the bus stop. So by design, a bus traveler is a walker. So in the world of data, I ask a simple question. How many people walk in Bangalore today? We don't know. If you're not measuring it, how will you solve for it? Right?
Yeah.
And I found in the last 6 months, I've been asking these seemingly stupid questions, not getting answers. I've spoken to people and IASC and all the mobility experts. Somehow, walking is seen as a separate afterthought. That's one side. The flip side is this. There's something called SAPA, which is a country's health is measured. Okay, sports and physical activity of a country is measured. And there's a SAPA study on India. It says India, which surprise, surprise, we are an unfit nation. Less than 10% of Indian adults play any sport. The biggest activity that Indians indulge in, I guess, walking.
Walking.
It's the only exercise we get. That's why we have increasing rates of diabetes and all. It's a serious issue in a country. So forget air pollution or we don't move. For women and other categories, walking is the only exercise they ever get in their lives. So at one side, you have the fact that's the only thing we can do. Other thing is it's good for the country's health and the people's health. Two is absolute absence of planning in our city mobility discussions on pedestrian infrastructure. It doesn't exist at all. So we're actually starting from rock bottom in planning for it. It's an afterthought. So 2 examples: when a road is sanctioned, a budget is sanctioned, it is so many kilometers of road. How much of the road is footpath is not in writing. It is ultimately
Not there as part of planning.
It is not separately planned. It's a decision at the micro level how much of footpath. Now they're trying to change it, but fundamentally, the footpath width is not considered. It's expandable. It's flexible. Okay, the lobby is always to expand the car. What I learned was that if you're designing the city to move vehicles fast, you have to create less traffic lights, more flyovers. It is called SFC, signal-free corridor, high-density corridor. When you create a signal-free corridor, how does a person cross from A to B? You have to have a skywalk or a tunnel. So in Outer Ring Road, you have a metro. In the 18 kilometers, it's like 12 kilometers, because of the metro median, the only places you can cross the Outer Ring Road are a skywalk or at a flyover. They just can't cross. So if your office is here and you come by bus here, you can't do this. You have to walk about a kilometer. So simple, right? So 25, now look at any typical company, housekeeping, security. Most migrants who move to cities stay near their place of work. I found so many people who walk 3 kilometers to work in Outer Ring Road.
Yeah.
They're invisible. No one
Yeah.
knew that. And they say, yeah, because there is no bus service for short term, there's no last mile. So companies themselves do not know how many of their employees come to work. So a lot of the thing is that the decision making is by people who drive cars, including in companies, not just in government. So I think we are very way back in awareness of the fact that we don't think about it. At the same time, you can see that cities like Paris and London have evolved to make pedestrianization first.
Yeah.
Yeah, mobility is a combination of things. Housing is a big part of mobility that people don't talk about, right? How affordable housing exists in the city changes the patterns of
Yes.
mobility. Why do the people live so close to the metro? Because for that reason. Why do construction workers live in horrendous condition near construction sites? Again, affordable housing, right? So there's a deeper level problem, and there 100 things you said I want to react to, but I'll spare you guys and react to a couple of things. One, the entire narrative about mobility is set by the privileged class. It is not set by the average Bangalorean. We might be the greatest growing, fastest growing city in the world with the biggest IT crowd, but we are still not a super rich city. We have more than 60% of the people that the average income is such, that means there are X number of people below that average, right? And that X is tens of lakhs of people. They are the one that make the city run. For everyone that complains about street vendors, guess who is purchasing from the street vendors? It's the others, right? So street vendors exist to serve the so-called richer people or privileged people who want them out. It's a very weird conversation that. But anyway, second point is about the public transport growth in Bengaluru. Right now, the public transport in Bengaluru is on steroids. It is growing leaps and bounds. It simply means that in 2023, there were 33 lakh daily riderships in BMTC and 5 lakhs in Metro. 2023, not so long ago, right? And those combined is what? 38 lakhs per day. As of today, after Metro expansion, after Shakti, the bus has gone from 33 to 45.
Wow.
Some days 48. We recorded 48 last month. Average, you can take 45. And Metro has gone to 10 lakhs.
Double.
After Purple Line, after Yellow Line, we hit 10 right now. So 10 plus 48 is 58 lakh, as opposed to 33 plus 5, 38. So if 38 lakh trips were happening in Bengaluru in 2023, 58 lakh trips are happening in Bengaluru in 2025. That means 20 lakh more trips are happening in public transport. At the same period, the number of buses is finally growing thanks to Shakti. BMTC has hired 2,000 new conductors, 4,500 buses have been ordered, will be coming in sequence. You can see a lot of new buses on the roads now. In Metro, Yellow Line has happened, boom, 60,000. We expected 25,000 ridership on day one. We got 60,000. That's how much Bangalore is hungry for Metro, right? The day the Blue Line Metro opens, dam will break. You are going to see the biggest Metro ridership in the history of Bangalore on that day, right? While we wait for the mythical Blue Line, Pink Line is in 5 months, 6 months from now, Pink Line will begin. That adds another 10 kilometers of metro, goes to Nagavara another 6 months, another 20 kilometers. So we go from 96 kilometers of metro to 120 kilometers, taking the 10 lakh ridership to maybe 11 lakh. When the Blue Line comes, it goes from Silk Boat to Kerpuram, touching the 17 kilometer stretch. Every metro station platform is going to be full there, and then it goes to airport. That metro line growth is going to be
what numbers we could possibly look at?
We could look at 13 to 14 lakhs in the next 2-3 years, and we could look at more in bus. So while we were very slow in growing public transport and understanding the importance of public transport, now we are course correcting. But unlike augmenting public transport is not a child's play. It takes a lot of time.
Yes.
It's much easier to buy 100 buses than put a metro line. Correct? So that's why things take time. So my contention is that increase the number of buses, double the number of buses, because with bus what do you get? In the morning I can run the bus to ORR, in the afternoon I can run it to HSR, and later I can run it to Kormangala. You can't do that with a metro, and you need to acquire land, you need to build it, and so on. So you need to dramatically increase the buses. while building out the metro and build out the K-ride or the suburban train. If we did this by 2031, as per the current plan of record, I am not making it up, we will have close to 250 kilometers of metro and train together. We are at 96 kilometers now. Going from 96 to 250 is more than double of the mass transport. While this is happening, and if you ask me, all this, like he made a super point, 10 lakh people don't have a traffic problem right now. They are happily in a metro. They are struggling with last mile. Let's leave that aside for a second.
Are they on the table in the mobility discussions?
Of course, of
No,
course.
I don't hear that voice.
They are there.
The walkers.
No, the metro users.
The
But
metro.
I'm saying, even if we have 15 lakh metro users, we will still have a traffic problem.
So,
The point I'm getting, because
that's the thing, right?
yeah.
That is a framing of the problem. That's you're framing it as congestion for the car users.
Exactly.
India, someone you mentioned or your colleague mentioned, India is the second most congested city in the world, right? Bangalore. What
In
is that?
India, it is the most congested.
Yeah, India,
What,
All
you know what is the underlying science behind it? You take a car from A to B and measure that. You do A to B in Mumbai, A to B in Delhi, A to B in Hyderabad, and measure that. How much time it takes for the car to go. Now, does 100% of the people go in a car from A to B? It's the most flawed argument. I am willing to go on record and say TomTom gets too much tom-tommed by our media. They need to stop looking at that.
Because it's sensational.
We need to do what he's saying, which is the fundamental missing point is, can you go in for a surgery or a treatment without a diagnosis, without an X-ray?
And what you're saying is there is no diagnosis right now.
You need to understand how your city moves, and
Yeah.
this is very simple. This problem has been solved. Do you know how India is looking at malnutrition? By looking at the weight of the baby, by looking at mother's maternal health. We calculate that every 5 years, National Family Health Survey. We have the census. The equivalent of that doesn't exist for mobility.
Yeah.
How many people are walking? Where are they walking? We think 68% of metro users walk. We have this data. More than 20% of the city commutes by walk. Almost 10% cycling is another classic example. When we think of cycling, we think of gear cycles, mountain bikes, wearing these fancy clothes, all that. There are lakhs of people that drive the good old hero cycle to work. They are not considered cyclists. Again, who is framing the conversation comes to picture.
Go ahead, if there
Yeah,
was
I
something-
wanted to sort of just put a contrarian point that 296 kilometers of metro will certainly increase the ridership. That's
250.
just
250.
250, sorry, my bad. Yeah, 96, I confused with that. I think, Malini, what I feel is that, again, but the car ownership from 25 lakhs, unfortunately, will go up. So, because the car ownership will go up, I think we'll have to make metro ridership cool and have to emphasize on people. And the reason I'm using metro ridership is because people who are obviously earning at a certain level, time is money, right? So, they want predictability. So, I think a combination of making sure that how does your walking infrastructure get you to 1 to 2 kilometers, and we have to figure it out that not getting car every day, because that 25 lakhs will become 35 lakhs of car. And I think it becomes important to make sure that how do we make sure that people who earn more than a lakh.
You're talking about speed.
Exactly. The time to reach office.
You know, in Outer Ring Road, tomorrow, okay, today is Thursday, Friday we can start a bus lane, which existed before the metro construction started, which gives speed to bus. This is where the stigma comes in. You think the IT people will not take the bus. Like there is a stigma about walking and the stigma about public transport. A lot of that exists in the people that think about it and talk about it.
I meant
You remove
predictability,
that.
Srini. I meant predictability.
You bring bus lane, you get predictability, you get speed.
Yeah, you are right. Bus
You
lane
have
will
live
get.
tracking of bus today. I know when is the next bus coming to Koramangala.
No,
on my
but
phone.
you know, metro, the way predictability will exist for a metro, right?
Because there's
it
no
may
traffic.
not.
There's no
but you know,
traffic.
coming to what you're saying, so I've tracked Delhi metro, right? And since the 90s, and what happened. So late 90s, early 2000, Delhi didn't have much of a metro network, right? And it was really bad. And people thought in a city which is so conscious about the kind of cars you buy and drive,
Yeah.
will people actually move to metro? But the moment Delhi metro hit a certain threshold of network, ridership boomed.
Yeah.
right? And I think today we have reached a stage that people are making some of those rational choices about, do I take that my car from Delhi or Noida to Gurgaon, or should I just get into a metro? And cab, which is Ola, Uber, have definitely played a role in the last mile that you speak about. So Delhi, definitely a city, I definitely thought public
Saturation.
transport would not. The moment it reached a certain threshold, adoption, embrace of public transport surged.
But you still
And
have
I-
a
The
traffic
point
problem
of-
in Delhi.
Huh?
You still have a traffic problem in Delhi for car owners.
But-
So when
so
you frame the
that-
problem,
Yeah.
it's not that adding public. So we may get 250 kilometers, but Delhi is there. It still has a traffic problem for those
Delhi
who
has
drive-
400,
So-
right?
Those who drive by car. So
Traffic problem is an indication of a growth and abundance of a city.
Absolutely.
Let it
Right,
have it,
right,
right?
right,
Who
right,
cares if
right.
people are stuck in traffic because
Yes.
they chose to take
Yes,
a car?
yes, yes.
Right. But the one point is, even in Delhi, you said you were wondering if people will switch and all, right? Because there's a culture of car, what
Yes.
car you want. That percentage of people that think like that is a tiny fraction of Delhi. It's not a big number.
Here,
Any city you take in India, any Indian city, the population that will use a car, afford a car, is a small percentage. Okay, so we cannot forget this when you're talking public policy.
correct.
When you're talking, and when we did a survey of Bangaloreans, what if I ask in Kormangala, what is the biggest problem of Bengaluru? 99 out of 100 will say traffic. Agreed? You ask Bengaluru in a scientific study, you know what the biggest problem in Bengaluru is? Water. Water is the biggest problem people of Bengaluru have. But water has been drowned out, no pun intended, by traffic. Why? Because the people that set the narrative in social media and mainstream media, they're all car guys. This is called car brained. We are too car brained in our thinking, in our media, in our communication, that we don't think about all the other things.
And also they have this social media megaphone, right?
Yeah, they have. They're the
And
ones
so
who carry.
I'm
Number
stuck
of-
in traffic for 1.5, 2 hours, and I have a Twitter to go and talk
And
about
guess
it.
where is the highest density of Twitter users in this continent? It's right here, from
Yeah,
Kormangala to
yeah,
Kerpuram,
yeah.
is where all the
So-
Twitter users live.
I wanted to ask, Deepesh, how are companies looking at it? You know, all these things we are talking about. Recently, I read about, how smog in Delhi is shaping policies for companies. Employees are making choices that they don't want to commute, they want to work on another destination. In Bangalore, how are companies looking at office commute? How are they enabling or not? For example, the subsidy you spoke about, free car parking. Are they looking at alternative policies? For example, encouraging people from switching from private to company buses.
I would say thought is in the right direction. A lot of large companies, global large employers, are actually trying to take up offices to either close to metro stations, sometimes which don't exist.
It is a big...
Yes, it is a big push which companies are doing. We actually don't know the data, but with yellow line opening up, because some of our because companies, a lot of the employers work there. Again, it's very early to say, but they are certainly encouraging employees to sort of even pay for their metro. They'll buy the metro passes or the metro tickets, right? See, because eventually if you see that while we all talk about free parking to employees, but eventually the parking here approximately costs 5,000 rupees a month, assuming you are just optimized
5,000 per car.
per parking a month, right? That is what the company will have to pay the landlord, right? Because you have taken real estate
Real
in which
estate of the parking spot.
because
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can
yeah.
eventually build an office or you can build a home or something,
sure,
right?
got it.
So eventually there is a cost of 5,000, but if you are able to do a metro pass, so frankly, part of it companies will do it because of
Cost efficiency.
Actually, a big part is cost efficiency. A part of it is obviously narrative around optimization of carbon reduction, etc. But a lot of it is cost efficiency. So I think companies are very conscious about it. But see, a part of it is human beings, we are all lazy. So if you have a car where you don't have to walk, and he said Indians are lazy, right? So it's not just it just happened because of the survey, right? We are all lazy. Delivery is picking up, right? 10 minutes delivery. Why do you think it is picking up? It also because we don't want to step out 1 kilometer to pick up something. So the fact that companies will give you metro passes will that encourage 100% of the employees to step out, because you will have to walk 500 meters or something either ways, etc. So I think we'll have to see the output, but I think the heart is in the right direction, that they are looking for employees to move away certainly from their private cars, because parking is certainly costing them. And I think when we run day shuttles and cabs, etc., there's a fair amount of ridership increase, but that it will be different from metro, because metro you will not be able to just do a home to home pickup and drop. You might have some last mile connectivity. Last mile from
Are companies offering last mile connectivity?
yeah, so let's say last mile is from metro office to company,
Yeah.
that they will offer. Metro office to their company will not be a problem, because it just has to be a one shuttle doing round
But
robin.
are they offering?
Yes, mostly they are offering. What is difficult, which is not enabling the metro, is the first mile. If you are staying in Jayanagar, if I am in Outer Ring Road, because the closest is KR Puram, companies will say, I will pick you from KR Puram, because running one shuttle is not a problem for them. But can I run many shuttles, one in Jayanagar, one in Banerghatta, one in HSR to
That
get
is
you?
the problem.
I think that is the problem. So I think Srinivas touched upon it. HSR has this feeder bus, right, which keeps running, which is a great project and success. So I think first mile needs to be looked upon. Can BMTC do it? I don't know, but between BMTC, private partnerships, etc., I think first mile still needs to be solved, or either the government allows for a shared auto or a concept like that.
So you said there are about 10 lakh vehicles on the road on a daily basis.
I don't
average.
have exact
No,
Yeah.
numbers,
cars. Of the
it
25
won't be the 25 will be on
Okay.
the
Yeah, 25 can't be
And
on
we
the
have
road.
10 lakh people in metro.
10 lakh ridership.
Means?
So people, you go from A to B, B to A, that's 2.
Okay.
So
And
roughly
up
5
and down
lakh.
will
Can I
count
say
as
roughly the number of people in cars is roughly equal to the number of people in metro? It will get there.
It'll get there, yeah.
So whose
Sure.
problem are we solving?
Hmm.
I'm coming back to what I'm saying.
Right, right.
It's not that it's almost that the people in the metro are as many as people in cars. Why don't we have the same vigor for the people in the metro their last mile? So I'm again trying to frame the problem that we're still trying to solve for those 10 lakh people. And will they switch to bus? Will they switch to what he said? Can I get those people to switch? I'm saying forget about them. There are 80 lakh other people in Bangalore who are using other modes.
48
like bus.
lakh bus users.
Yeah, exactly. So all I'm saying is there is no balance in the conversation. Even in the questions we have faced today, we have not asked questions about what are the problems faced by bus travelers to increase that ridership. We have not even touched upon it.
Last mile is what we're
No, that's
talking
very,
about.
You know, it's more specific than that. For example, the bus stops are not owned by BMTC. The
Yeah,
bus
the
shelters
bus-
are owned by somebody else.
Yeah.
We have such a fractured system that the company that runs the buses does not have control on who erects the bus shelter, where it is placed and what it contains. They can't put a route map. So there is such fundamental lack of focus on bus or metro today. In so many, in the yellow line metro, the metro has built the footpath, they built skywalks to nowhere. There is no footpath. So if you're in PES college at the Electronic City metro station and you want to go to the metro, you have to walk on a mud track and then climb the skywalk, because no one has thought that somebody will walk to the metro. For 1 year, I have hammered away that before the metro opens, let's fix this footpath. And the National Highway says, I will not do it. There are 4 agencies in charge. No one's done it. Now the thing has opened. I said, build a covered shelter. It's going to rain. If people are, so the thing is, we have built the metro at multiple crores, but we have not invested the time to make it accessible, right?
Accessible.
It's not, what have we not done? Why have we not, why is that not the focus? It's not about should we have built it earlier. It's that cart before the horse kind of situation. Now we have ample time in Outer Ring Road for the metro to get ready. Ample time, 2027, right? We have not figured out how people cross the road still. At any junction.
I think it's a matter of poor planning. That it doesn't.
Who's the customer? The customer is not, if you make the pedestrian the person for whom you plan the city, everything will fall into place.
So my submission is
we are
that I
planning for
don't
the
know
top.
if they are planning for anybody.
Yeah, I think
If
that's
they
the problem.
planned for cars, we wouldn't have been in this
We're
situation.
planning for cars.
I'm saying.
No, actually, no,
I'm
not
saying
really.
That's
can't-
what I'm
If at all,
saying.
we're saying the problem is with the cars.
It's not
But I-
comprehensive. So the question is then, will BMLTA, right? Will that at all solve some of the problems,
It's
like
No,
integrated?
so who's my user?
No, that is BMLTA's charter. What he just described is BMLTA's charter.
Moving people, as they say. Right?
Yes.
So who's
Yeah.
that person?
Yeah.
And if in any design, you have to first identify our user profile. Is my user the car driver? Is my user the walker? We don't know that. And
So
it's
the
apparent
average
that the walker is
residents.
not
There are 2-3 fundamental principles of mobility. Like there is Newton's laws. We have principles of mobility, which is move people, not vehicles.
Yeah.
You design your city to move people, don't design for vehicles. And Bangalore has been very religiously doing move vehicles. That's why the pedestrians are invisible. More
So
cars.
I'm saying it's not just Bangalore; it's our cities at
we
large.
have gone beyond Bengaluru,
yeah.
but
We're not doing
I'll
India
reveal
too,
the
too
biggest
globally.
secret of car economy in this country, right? It's not secret really, but people don't talk about it, which is more cars is good for us. Why? More cars is cars is now one of the biggest, probably the biggest manufacturing
Consumption, jobs,
Yeah, yeah.
backward,
right?
forward linkages,
every
everything.
street corner has a puncture shop,
Yeah.
has a service center, and not to mention the formal service center. Car accessories is a business, vehicle accessories is a business, and
Taxes on
insurance.
fuel.
Insurance. Guess what happens when you buy a car? You pay life tax, you pay road tax. Guess who gets the tax? State government. Okay, when you put 1 liter of petrol in your bike or your car, somebody gets tax. Who is that? The union government and the state government. Guess who doesn't get any tax when you buy a car or put a liter of petrol? The city. City gets 0 rupees out of your liter of petrol, out of your vehicle purchase.
The other thing,
who is supposed to serve these vehicles? Who is supposed to lay the roads for these vehicles and make them pothole free? City. How come you are not earning anything from these sales of why are so many people buying cars? Because they love this city. They want to live in this city. But the money is going to the government of Karnataka and government of India and not to the government of Bengaluru. You need to solve it at that fundamental level. The other big principle of mobility, urban mobility, is a phenomenon called induced demand. And I've heard people talk about
Can
it
you
on your
explain
show
that?
before. Induced demand says that if you add more road spaces, you get more vehicles. All flyovers have to end at some point. You cannot be on an infinite flyover where you never get down. Correct? So you are going to come down at some point and get stuck in traffic. That is induced demand.
do you have a view on flyovers and tunnels we are planning to build in the city?
Have you heard of steel flyover beta? That's my view. So my view is that we need to, because the results you're getting from public transport are phenomenal. Every one of us must commend the government for introducing Shakti. They might have done it as a welfare scheme to attract voters or whatever, but it had such a huge positive impact on the traffic of our city. 33 lakh riders went to 48 lakh. What do you think they were doing before? They were doing two-wheelers, other modes of transport.
Should this be sequential, Ashwini? That first this, first that?
BMLTA. What is BMLTA supposed to do? Understand the needs of the city, understand the growth patterns of the city, and then figure out where you need a flyover, where you need a tunnel, where you need a metro. Kormangla, the place we are sitting in, is called a transit desert. Why? Because your bus connectivity is not so great. There is no metro. You are hoping to get a metro sometime in the future, but all these years there is no metro, and you have a archaeological system building over there for a long time. We all know what that is, right? So
You know what?
Yeah. Everybody knows.
the data will tell you that.
Okay.
The analysis will tell you that. And who is supposed to do that? BMLTA. BMLTA is supposed to look at the mobility of the city over the next 20-30 years. Mobility is not a 5-year program.
BMLTA is a reality, right?
Not yet. It's a reality in the sense that there is a law passed, there is a bill passed, which is now an act. But it's like, how do you say it?
When does it see the light of the day?
As soon as the government appoints the head of BMLTA and puts an office and says, this is BMLTA office. This hasn't happened yet. But all indications are government are serious about it because they put it under GBA now.
Okay,
So now the GBA is trying to say, like the climate action cell is under GBA now.
Yeah.
Similarly, the BMLTA is under GBA, which gives me a lot of hope that it will happen. In fact, there are conversations going on. Someone asked us, if we were to start BMLTA, what needs to be done? Can you give me a note on it? This morning, we were discussing this, right? So it doesn't mean it's going to happen, but they're thinking about it. So the mobility conversation in the city is going towards BMLTA, towards huge thanks to Arun, because he made, as the unofficial self-declared mayor of Footpaths of Bengaluru, suddenly he made walking a main issue in the city, right? It is taken for granted. Now it is not. It is
we
understood.
have to talk more about what Arun has managed
Yeah.
to do, you know.
Absolutely.
And maybe Arun can talk about some of his campaign, what he's realized about footpaths,
Yeah.
walkers in the city, and also the kind of support he's got. Because we did have Mr. Maheshwar Rao come to our podcast, and he spoke about
Oh,
it,
really?
right?
How nice.
So I heard from all of you different things, right? Public versus private, walking, cycling, right? Some of those issues. And it's all about competing priorities, right? Can we reframe what exactly are we talking about when we talk about mobility, commute? And we'll go around the room, and then probably last, Arun, I would want to ask you, reframe the issue, what the city is confronted with. And then we'll talk about some of the specific stuff you are engaged in. Deepesh, do you want to reframe what exactly is the problem that we are tackling? Is it commute? Is it mobility? Is it public versus private? What exactly is it?
I think certainly there is a commute issue, right?
This is a commute issue that
Yeah,
we are,
yeah.
commute of all kinds.
Commute of all kinds, right?
Okay.
1 crore people approximately want to show up on the road every day to go mostly to work. I think 80% of the daily commute is work, 20% is leisure. I think one of the things which we ought to do is that while government needs to do their bit, I think individually we need to do that, and this is something which I strongly advocate, is that if one day in a week, we spoke about the increase of 10% traffic, but if in one day in a week we do not drive a single occupancy car, which is just you driving the car on the road, it will reduce the traffic by 20%. So I think that's the ownership which we individually need to take. Alternatives are, we spoke about bus, we spoke about metro, we need to figure it out. Or if nothing else, just hop on with your buddy, just do a carpool. But at least we need to get that, and it will at least reduce 20% of the traffic.
Srini, can we reframe? What do you think is the issue? Just that, and then we'll dive deeper into
Absolutely.
other areas.
So the framing of it is mobility is for all. Mobility is not just for the formal employees. Mobility is not just for people in formal employment, but mobility is for all. That means the kids going to school, that means the vendors going to KR market to get their vegetables early in the morning. That means everybody in this city. So we need to start framing mobility from an all perspective, and that is if this is a public problem, then public includes all these people.
Got it.
Surely some people get higher priority because the way the nature of the system is, the crying child gets the. So the thing is, we need to start thinking about it from a data perspective rather than, everyone is a traffic expert in this city, in this country. Everyone has a solution, right? But traffic and mobility and congestion, these are science. These are things that are scientific. How to make a footpath is science. It's not what A wants or Arun wants or something else. There is a way to make a footpath. There are standards for it. Similarly, we need to frame our mobility. Okay, this is how Bangalore is. This is how it is going. It's going in north now towards airport, for example. So an airport metro line is coming. Therefore, we need to do transit-oriented development. You need to grow the city where the public transport is coming and things that support that. And you need to build in a city where kids don't have to travel 25 kilometers to go to a school or 1 hour in the bus waiting stuck in the traffic, right? So we need to understand that.
Sure.
Build schools, make sure that education is available in places that people are going to live and work. In Western world, this is called the 15-minute city. Everything that you access for your daily needs should be within 15 minutes of you. Urban planning, that is. So mobility is part of city planning. Mobility doesn't exist on its own. And guess what? We don't have a city master plan right now. So the city is growing in whichever direction it grows based on whatever happens. So planning of the city, mobility planning based on that plan, and then data-based, evidence-based planning.
And planning for everybody.
Planning for everybody.
Arun.
The famous after phrase 8 to 80 rule, it's called, right? Are you planning for an 8-year-old or an 80-year-old?
Yes.
Correct.
But if you plan for an 8-year-old or an 80-year-old, you likely get it right for the 40-year-old.
So can you frame the problem that the city and what we are discussing?
So I disagree with the current framing because it is
Please go
framed
ahead.
from the purpose of if I took a pipe, we all want to go through the pipe. That's what we're fighting on. How do you share space? So there is a road and there is a footpath. I'm saying you guys on the road, you fight over it. fight, whether it's bus or cycle, I don't care. But can we have the footpath only for those who walk? And my assessment is that more than 25% of the people who move on that footpath. I mean, it's a large percentage. It's not been measured. It is not.
25.
It could be much more.
I know.
I don't
Yeah.
know. Like
It's more. It's
everyone who uses a bus walks.
Yeah, no, I
So if I took the road and said the road is 80% for argument's sake, and 20% is the real estate which is there for footpath, good or bad, 80% you guys can fight because you have a capacity problem. You have too many people on that. The people out here, if we make their life better, I call it a silver bullet. Now I'll give you a simple UPI. What's UPI? Unified Payments Interface. No one knows that. What was UPI designed to do? A payment system for a country that is underbanked. What has it done? It has transformed our country. It has empowered people. It has done
Formal to informal to
the
formal.
impact of UPI is
Yeah.
much more than a payment system, right?
Yeah.
India is now leading the world
Yeah.
in how to do DPI, digital public infrastructure, right? So I say we have a silver bullet. So you need a disruptive solution. I think an incremental solution will not cut it, because in India, incremental stuff is always slow.
Can you describe the
Let
problem
me
with
finish
what?
this. UPI.
Huh.
So I'm proposing a UPI to solve our transport problem. So I'm saying UPI transform digital India. I'm suggesting a new UPI to transform physical India, universal pedestrian infrastructure.
Okay.
Because all our problems which we don't solve end up on the footpath. It's like this in a big desk, the corner of the desk where you can't solve it. The footpath is the place where every department's problems end up on, whether it is parking or things we have not solved. Vending zones, parking, electricity transformers, trees, whatever, it's on the footpath. It's
So
not
can you elaborate the problems that you're talking about, the footpath, right? What are 4 or 5 kinds of problems which we may
this.
not be
We
cognizant?
don't have trees on the road. We don't have electrical transformers on the road. We don't have vendors on the road. Why? Because we have to move cars. We don't allow it. When I met the previous Joint Commissioner Anuchet, I asked him in jest, if a VIP comes tomorrow, you have the protocol to make Bangalore signal free, right? We know how to block roads. We can inconvenience the whole city so that a particular set of cars goes fast. There is a protocol for it. I said, supposing the VIP says he wants to walk, do you have a protocol to make a signal-free footpath? He laughed and said, no. You know why? Because he's not in charge of the footpath. There is no authority in charge of making a signal-free footpath. So it is not a problem anyone is losing sleep over, and that's why it's not solved. And what I have done, and thanks for Srini for complimenting me, all I've done is I've put the issue on the table and said, I am only going to fight for the right of the footpath to be used only for pedestrians. And I'm speaking to all the agencies. If you walk 500 meters outside this office or 100 meters, I can tell you 10 agencies who have a stake in that footpath who don't talk to each other. 10 at least, sometimes it's 20. And the hope is the GBA will suddenly bring most of them under one person. Till now, 10 people, and the agencies are the drains, the electricity, the street lights. In fact, people don't even know which are the agencies in one. So essentially,
Maybe the agencies might not know as well.
also don't know. And so the funny part is, none of
highly
the
likely.
agencies who are on the footpath, for them it's not critical for them. They have no other place, they've kept it there. If you meet the metro, their business is to move trains. They don't care if the pillar blocks the footpath. If you meet the electricity guys, they say, you want power or not? I don't care. So essentially, the footpath is the place where all the unsolved problems have been swept to.
Is this because this is the child which doesn't cry? Is
So
that
I'm crying, and by solving the footpath problem, everything else will get solved. So I'm actually making a very tall claim that it is a silver bullet. If you design for the pedestrian, you'll solve things like connectivity, you'll solve a lot of things. So just like UPI solved payments but had bigger impact, I am confident, and I'm saying that with experience, that I'll give you a simple example. Gender. If there is a footpath and 100 meters ahead, one man has urinated, and we have observed this. A woman has a seventh sense to leave the footpath and walk on the road because she can sense a man will walk over the urine. I'm saying it with data. Okay, so if you are saying, we say the cities are not designed for women, forget everything. I mean, gendered city design is a big topic
Yes,
today. Right?
absolutely,
Women are not in
absolutely.
planning, we don't design for women. So that's
Yeah.
half the population. Women are the largest users of footpaths because they drive less. So data has shown that the largest share of pedestrians are women. So the funny part is pedestrians are ignored. The largest share within pedestrians, women are ignored. And something as simple as solving a problem of a urination corner will suddenly get safety for women. So I have recently spoke at a climate action person because he called me and I said the best climate action plan or CAP is to build footpaths. I said it in jest, but I learned later that what I was saying was actually true, because pedestrianization reduces carbon footprint, and every Anne Hidalgo in Paris, every progressive mayor is actually pedestrianizing. So the funny part is, I think, and I'm saying this wherever I go until someone says I'm wrong, that if you solve for the pedestrian, you might end up solving many of the other issues. So it's a disruptive approach as opposed to an incremental phased-out approach. That is my reframing of the problem. Make the pedestrian, like say, customer-centric, pedestrian-centric city planning. And the good news is that in the BBMP budget, which was passed in March, yesterday morning I walked with the chief engineer of South Zone for 6 kilometers and his whole team came along. This morning I walked 6 kilometers in Sarvagna.
This is the walking test you do with a suitcase, etc.
No, so
Can
what
you
we do is
describe what you do?
No, so what we do is quite straightforward. Can you name any public service where outcome is measured by government? It's always inputs. How much, how many sweepers are put on the road? Nobody is measuring the output, cleanliness, for example. In mobility, you can measure time. We are saying, I don't care how many people you put. I will walk on the footpath and I will rate it. So me and Deepesh ran 100 kilometers on footpaths, which was considered a crazy challenge last time. We said, so just like you rate a Zomato service. So I can rate Zomato without eating in the restaurant, right? Think about it. The entire billion-dollar valuation of that company rests on ratings. Who does the ratings? You and I. Without, I can game it, you would think. I can say, oh, if I was to get together and say the restaurant is bad. But the wisdom of crowds is such that if a large enough number of people rate a service, it turns out to be right. It is proven for Ola, IMDb, anything, right? So we said, why don't we apply ratings to civic services? Let 100 of us walk on a footpath and rate it. And what we say is the answer. It's not, does it follow IRC standards? Is it wide enough? I apply my standard. So my standard is if 2 of us can walk and feel safe, I'm realistic. If there's a vendor, if he gives me a place to walk, we're not being idealistic. India is a place we have to deal with cows and vendors, and there's a reality, right? No, someone's livelihood. So
Yeah.
see, it's all about trade-offs. So I will make a trade-off on this so that I can get that kind of thing. And we did the study and we presented it at a
How many stretches or how many
kilometers.
100 kilometers you've done?
100
Including outer ring road. We ran on it on camera.
Which
It's
was
on
probably
video.
the
Okay.
most
So
difficult.
we ran on.
That is just one of his runs. You would have crossed 10,000 by
No,
now.
but the point is, we talked about data. We ran 100 kilometers and took everything on camera. So every step is recorded. So now
Okay.
anyone can see it and disagree with my rating. It's public transparency. We called it incontrovertible data.
So tell us which is the best stretch to walk and which is the worst one.
The worst stretch I can tell you right away. It's exactly where most of the people commute.
Yeah.
It is from HSR to Iblur. It is the worst stretch in Bangalore, and it is walkable. It is 2 kilometers. So coming to the other theme is most people want to walk 10,000 steps a day. Where do they do it? Park or in the gym.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what I'm trying to promote is if you're staying within 4 kilometers of office, it's 5,000 steps. Most people don't even know that 3,500 steps is 5 kilometers. So if you can walk 10,000 steps a day in a commute. So for example, we mapped out Bangalore into 4-kilometer stretches. If you stay in Koramangala and work in Embassy Golf Links, it's exactly 5,000 steps along Inner Ring Road. It's the best footpath in town. Nobody walks it. He talked about induced demand for cars. My dream is to create induced demand for pedestrian infrastructure. That is the point.
Let's talk about this a little. So this is about behavioral
Demand
shifts,
side, get
nudge,
people to walk.
right? I mean,
Absolutely.
so far we think walking,
You said the magical words
cycling,
already.
Nudge. Public transport is
Yeah.
for somebody else.
Yeah.
Private transport. You cycle to office, right?
Yeah, I do.
How do we make some of these aspects? Why do you cycle to office? When did
Actually,
you
yeah,
begin?
because of
And
this something
yeah,
I
go
just said some time back, right? I feel that we all have an ownership to, because we are traffic, I think, right? So I feel that I can't keep saying that we all need to give up something and show up despite the problems. And obviously I'm little lucky that my home to office is around 3 kilometers, not too far away. But I choose the day I don't have external meetings. I cycle to the office.
Typically once a week.
No, I'm able to do 2 to 3 times a week.
Okay.
2 to 3 times a week. Today, because of this meeting and a few other meetings, I did not do that. But I think I was very surprised because when I cycled, I just thought I'm doing it because of this thing of not driving a single occupancy car, which is what I'm a little crazy about. But you know what was surprising?
Signaling effect.
Is that I reach my office faster than I drive.
Like how much?
Yeah.
Why are you surprised?
So I am able to reach my office predictably in 12 to 14 minutes, and with car sometimes it would just get 20 minutes, and this is within HSR.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So I think not only I have this benefit of whatever.
We need a documentary on this.
Saving petrol, saving costs, saving whatever, and then time as well.
Time, it is so much predictable. We just don't realize that it becomes predictable. I do understand when people say that it could be unsafe, but frankly, I cycle in HSR and
What's the second one? You said you realized 2 things. One was that you saved time.
You are the traffic.
No, I think, yeah, I'm not part of the traffic. At least
So
I don't
as a
have to worry.
CEO of the company, when you drive, when you cycle, what kind of signaling effect? And that's where I want to bring Arun in as well, because cycling is not for me. I'm saying generally people think, for me, this is this big car. I want to drive into office. CEOs want to, and you are doing something different.
I don't know. I think maybe it's too early to say, and I think people generally have this concept of maybe the roads are not safe. I'm hoping that I'll see more cyclists and walkers.
Yeah.
I do see fair amount of walkers, but I think cyclists, I'm yet to see that.
Okay. Arun, what have you learned about that signaling effect, right? The behavioral nudges and kind of people you are able to sort of come on your social media. You're working with all kinds of senior bureaucrats, officials, etc.
Two things. One is, I will say this. When the current GBA chairman, Maheshwar Rao, became BBMP chairman, the second day he called me and said, I want to walk with you. Okay. And when the boss walks, it creates a culture shift in the organization, but it's more than a photo op. And he told me, take me to the most difficult parts of Bangalore. I want to see the real Bangalore.
Wow. So he wanted to gloss over the problems.
It was not a photo op. He wanted to understand what a user goes through.
Yeah.
A genuine attempt. So I said, let's go to Majestic Station. And he said, shall we start at 7 a.m.? I said, yes, because the city is not awake. I went at 6:30 to plan. He showed up at 6:30. With the two guys alone there. The whole team came at 7. So half an hour we walked, like two regular people. Nobody identifies him or me. He sees people walking with suitcases. He says, can we design it that a wheeled suitcase can go from here to there? Right? He spends half an hour. Then his engineering team shows up. In 1 week it's done. Ramps are built. Right?
Seriously, which stretch is this?
Majestic, from Majestic Metro till, it's all on video.
Yeah, he spoke about it on a podcast last time,
so
right?
Why I'm saying this, that. So we thought, great. And he said, where are we going next? So Monday, Thursday, I have walked 35 kilometers with him on 8 different walks.
With him?
With him. In different
And you are
parts.
fixing those...
No, so basically he will say, show me all the parts. So I am the luxury of choosing. So I showed him the worst places. I walked to them in Whitefield, I walked to them in Electronic City Metro. And when he walks, obviously, and he said, I will decide the location at night. So nobody will know.
At 11 p.m.
At 11 p.m. I get a call saying, where shall we go tomorrow? I say, okay, I've thought it through. Then the boss, the commissioner is told at night. So you cannot plan for it. So that's why it was a genuine attempt to understand the state. It was not a photo. So first, appreciate that. It's not easy to do that. And he saw the worst. The media would come, he'd open, he'd say, yeah, this drain is broken, we need to fix it. So we did that. But what it did was signaling. Suddenly everyone realized that, this is what we should be doing. And slowly we had the zonal commissioner of each zone, that time Snehal. She did 3 walks with me. Then we had the Karigauda and Yalahanka. So there is a sense of, this is the way to do it. Now it's been 3 months of that. The JBA has come. I don't know if you've noticed, since JBA started on September 2nd, we have 5 commissioners. You would know this.
Yes.
They're all out at 6:30 in the morning till 9 on the field. All, without exception. Every day. It's routine now. So
the culture change happened.
Culture shift.
Wow.
And I'm seeing it because I'll say, we are doing something. Can you come at 7:30? Say, okay, I'll come there at 7:30. In an organization which earlier people would come to office, first meeting is what time? Normally 11 o'clock.
10:30.
10:30. So what leadership signaling has done is that it has changed the culture to the point now where we have started this thing called Project Walkaluru, where we are giving a mainstream spin. Last year, he and me ran 100 kilometers to rate them as good, bad and ugly. Now we are saying, our new challenge. We will find 100 kilometers of good footpaths in Bangalore and tell you all about it. So you walk. So we're conducting events where we are doing 10-kilometer footpath walks. We've done 3 already. People come and walk. Senior citizens, children, most people who could never walk more than 5 are walking 10. And at the end, you know what they say? It is lovely because Bangalore has these 3 magical letters, which I call WTF. Weather. If you can find a better acronym.
She's waiting.
Weather. Sadly, no other city has the weather that we have.
Yes.
So we're fortunate. We didn't create it. We are ruining it, but we have it. We inherited weather. Trees. We don't realize the power of tree-lined avenues.
Yes.
So you can walk at 10 in the morning. The last one is footpaths, which is in our control. So my view is that if you go to Indore, I've not been there. I'm told if you go to Indore, wherever you go, this is we are number 1. So the slot for the cleanest city has been captured by Indore brilliantly. They own it. They feel pride. Which is the most walkable city in India? I want Bangalore to create that metric and own it. And I'm trying to seed that idea, whichever politician I meet, and saying, can we aspire to be that? So what I'm saying is when the policy maker, when the elected representative backs you, because it is good, not because of it, you're onto a good thing. So in terms of influencing policy, when you get the people to own the cause, in this case it is walking, you don't need all the big jargon about 5-minute city, all it's common sense that
But
walking.
good to hear that, because the government, GBA, gets a lot of flack.
Yeah.
This is wrong, that is wrong, but I think we should definitely acknowledge where.
In my field, pedestrian first has now become their mantra. Recently,
Heartening to hear that, Arun.
recently Bangalore had to apply for a fund from Delhi, from the Finance Commission, where
And
they had
cap-
so much money to draw, and they could choose where to spend it. It was called National Clean Air Program. So Srini was very much involved in it. They could have chosen to build, but they said we will allocate so much of it for footpaths. So that was an internal decision which has come through. So for the first time, footpaths are a line item in a budget, right? It's a very big deal.
We'll get the footpath ready.
Why I'm saying
Now,
this is
Mr.
that,
Rao is on your side.
why I'm saying this is that mainstreaming an issue, taking
Yes.
it out from being a civic problem
Yes.
to being a meaning of pride for the city, and getting the representative to own it is part of the game. And that is the
Absolutely.
game I am trying to play here. It's not about improving footpath. It's about making aspiration. Can we be the most walkable city because of weather and trees, and not focusing on the negatives?
In
I think
fact,
just if I add one from a return on investment perspective, I just did a quick maths.
Mhm.
I think metro, which we spoke about, certainly carries passengers, but the cost of construction of the metro, because a lot of it goes underground, is around 250 crores to 300 crores a kilometer.
yes.
And I think Arun just shared with me that the
But
cost.
basic footpath is about 1 to 2 kilometers, just the footpath alone.
Yeah.
Repairing, if you have space to build the footpath without utility.
How much is it?
Under 2 crores, you can build a
One-
decent
Under 2 crore
with
per
a decent
kilometer.
footpath, not the utilities.
Yeah.
And a very high-end one, about 7 to 8. Church Street is 9 crores. So just compare in all the big. I'm not against a capital project, but with the capital project, with a rounding error, whether it's tunnel or metro,
This
could
is
fix
not
all the
necessarily a good thing. In our system, if a project costs more money, it gets more takers.
Yeah.
So this is why we don't get more buses. Buses don't cost much as metro
problems.
does.
Logic doesn't work.
No, you are
So
right.
we need to understand this
Yeah.
and operate like this. I argue for 10 crore per kilometer footpath.
So,
Come in later.
just one more thing, continuation of this that I wanted to come
Sure.
to you. We are talking about cycling, walking, public transport. I think all those things also signal what a city must do for climate, for environment, as we look into some of those issues, exactly
Absolutely.
the kind of issues. We have something called Nama Bengaluru Challenge, and this year the focus is climate and environment, where we are trying to sort of bring some startup vibe to solving problems for the city of the city. And we are sort of giving away grants to 5 winners, again, to pilot, etc., etc. What are some of the other challenges? Cycling and walking are 2 areas, but some of the areas that you think the city must confront from a commute mobility point of view, keeping climate in mind, keeping pollution in mind, which is AQI, right? Can you elaborate a little on that?
See, by definition, public transport is better air quality, right? Because
Yeah.
50 cars replaced by 1 bus, 50 vehicle emissions replaced by 1 vehicle emissions. And electric vehicles, while there is an old saying, right? A cat is still a cat whether it is black or white. A car is still a car whether it is a petrol car or an electric car. It doesn't make any difference to the congestion part of it. It may make a small difference to the air quality, but it's shifting the problem to somewhere else where that energy is being created, right? But when you make public transport electric, and metro is electric, but metro comes with other costs like the concrete that we pour into it, the heat islands and all of that. So in the cities, the way cities measure climate impact of transport on climate is GHG emissions, greenhouse gas emissions. In Bengaluru, if there are 100 kgs of CO2 that's emitted, 25 of it is coming from transport. Another
25%.
25 is coming from construction. You guys have done a brilliant video on recently, right? These are 2 big causes. The other biggest cause is the energy usage, right? The electricity that we use and all of that. So anything you do to increase the modal share of public transport, you said this is modes, walk, cycle, car, auto, metro, bus. This is called modal share. That means if there are 100 people in a city that travel every day, how many of them are using shared mode or public transport versus personal mode? For a healthy city with clean air, you need that number to be about 70%. In Bengaluru, we are around 40. Whereas in Mumbai, we are more than 60. Thanks to the local trade. So our goal for transport planning should be, we want 10% cyclists, we want 50% walkers, or 20% commutes by walk.
Okay.
That indicates better urban planning. And bus and metro together we should get to 60%, 65%. The current government that came into power, both the parties that went to election in 2023 have put it on the manifesto that if we come to power, we will increase the modal share of public transport to 70%. Why did they do that? Because citizens demanded it. We went and tell them, please make this your priority.
Okay.
And the political parties of Karnataka
Have
are
we
amazing.
improved as a city? I'm saying overall, public transport across all.
Not a lot. Why? Because cities keep growing. We have a good story,
Okay.
really good story of growth,
Okay.
which brings more people. How many vehicles got registered in the last 1 year? More than 1 lakh, right? Every day, 2,000 vehicles are registered. How fast can you build a metro when 2,000 people are buying cars every day? We have a GST, what is that called? GST bonanza or something happened recently. Diwali, Dhamaka, something happened, no?
On the cars, especially the GST,
yeah.
small
Right?
cars.
That's like poking your own eye. Now you got more cars. People that are probably not planning to do that have gone and done that.
Sure, sure.
Now that they got it, they may start using it for
Okay.
going to office. So we have this seesaw game going on. While we are building public transport, this is also happening. So we need to figure out how to manage both, right? So the last point on that. Vehicle ownership is not the issue. We want everyone to own a vehicle. That's good for the economy, good for them, pride, their parents will appreciate it, and as people say, that may get you married, whatever those things are. But when it comes to commute, shift, go to public transport. Okay, you can't go every day in public transport, go twice a week, not once a week, Deepesh, twice a week. This is what we call personal to public.
I wanted to get started somewhere. The nudge.
2, personal vehicle to public transport twice a week. That leads to how much percentage of reduction?
20%.
No, my formula, 40%.
40%.
2 days.
2 days. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
See,
Yours
he's
is-
promoting 20%,
2 days out of
I am
4.
promoting 40%.
I want to get
2
started,
days out of
Srini.
4.
Ah.
2 days out of 4. 50%.
All right, that's
2 days out of 4. So one question I wanted Shini and Deepesh to talk about is the companies, right? They are the ones really
waiting for
engineering
this.
a lot of our commute,
Let's see.
travel, etc., and also shaping policies, the nudges you spoke about. And I'm sure you both will have view. Who wants to go first? I know Shini is raring to
Yeah,
go.
Shrini should go.
Please go ahead.
All right. So in this discussion, we talked about how companies are rolling out the red carpet for people to own vehicles. Okay. Now, why would a company do that? Because my competition is also doing that. If I am one company and I want to hire you, he wants to hire you. If I give you a car lease or a car loan or driver reimbursement, he cannot be left behind. If you got offers from both of us, you'll pick me because I'm giving you more benefits, right? So because of that, now he's doing one up on me. He'll saying, I'll give you even less interest. I'll give you fuel reimbursement. So now I'm
Bigger
going to
car,
give you fuel
better
reimbursement. Things like that. And the biggest cost is the parking. You're paying 5,000 rupees per eco space we talked about. Go and find out how much eco space companies are paying for parking to the builder. It's one thing to pay for the cube office space, another thing to pay for the parking space. Now, let's say I am this humble employee who doesn't have a car. It's a new generation. My kid also doesn't want to own a car, right? Both my kids are happy to go public transport from ever since they know they've been doing that, right? So they will, one day they might get a job in eco space and they will go in a bus or a metro. What do they get from their employer? Nothing. Now he comes in a car, enjoys the loan, reimburses the petrol, gets a free parking, and another person comes in a bus or metro, gets nothing. Now that's serious problem.
Corporates have to rethink
how I support the employees that will come in public transport. And the biggest good news for you and all of us is that the companies in Bangalore are going towards that. Yesterday, day before Monday, we released a thing called Orbit card for all the employees of electronic city companies. It will give a card with cash in it. So if you are LCI employee, if you use that card, if you use a metro trip, the money will come out of that. Every time you use metro, it'll add some more cash to it. So it encourages you to take more metro trips.
Okay, fantastic.
And when we are done with it, the company will say, now we are out of it.
Oh.
The idea is that once employees get used to it, CEO will talk to HR and say, can we bring in a policy for public transport? If my employees come in public transport, Applied Materials, one of the biggest companies in the world, it gives a free bus pass to every employee. It costs about 3,300 rupees a month. If you are an employee there, you can use bus anytime, anywhere, including the airport AC bus. For them, they think it's a very small investment in encouraging this behavior. Now, does it mean that every employee will use it and use it every day? No, it doesn't have to be. Like we just discussed, twice a week is good enough. So, if they can reduce it, so that's a nudge to make the employees use that. And so, this has to become mainstream company policy. You have company policies for so many things, right? Leaves, bereavement leaves. Why do you not have a corporate HR public transport policy? We need to get to that, because the corporates or corporate India is leading to congestion, right? Inadvertently, they are leading to congestion. They turn around and say, okay, we have too much productivity loss, 300 billion is gone because of traffic. Guess what the traffic is? It's created by them, right? So, after government, the second biggest stakeholder in reducing congestion and pollution is corporate India. The formal employment creates these vehicles and creates these parking lots. The size of the parking lot determines the big responsibility you have towards the city. And the best news is, unlike government, if you save money, corporates will go for it. Government may want big ticket project, but corporates want to save money, right? So, if you do this, you can save money, you can report ESG. All these guys now have to report their carbon emission reduction. Particularly if you are MNC or a GCC, it's very important for them to say our company has reduced your emissions from X to Y.
So, Deepesh, what are you hearing? What's your side of the story on the corporates, what he's talking about?
See, as I spoke earlier, I think their heart is in the right place. These lease programs, I think the reason they are very successful is because they have a tax exemption component to it. So, I think obviously people can buy cars at a cheaper from outside, but when you buy through a lease program, that whatever is your EMI, 30,000 rupees, it has a few tax exemption to it. And if you look at the tax, we'll have to, just like Arun was talking about pedestrian mobility and we have to think differently. I think promoting shared commute, and I think Srini, I want to add shared commute as, let's say if what is a problem is single occupancy cars. So, if you have 3 people in the car, I think it is an okay. I feel that's a good solution. If you have 3 people in the car or
Carpool,
whatever, right? Obviously, bus can carry 50 people, but yes, it has a certain amount of availability, etc. So, I think what are the things which we'll have to think differently is that, can corporates, like the way they are incentivizing for metro, now if there is a allowance on that, such that if you use a shared mode of commute, which is metro, bus, or if there is a way to look at a cab pool or a carpool, I think if that can be promoted, incentivized, I think by default a lot of people will switch to it. I think, and corporates are very open. I think they are certainly open because A, it will reduce their ESG emissions, which all of them have to report, especially large companies. And frankly, second is they will be able to save on the parkings, which is genuinely a big cost for them. One of the things which I think we can also chat, actually not just the corporate parking, the free parking which is just allowed on the roads. Like that encourages people to just show up and
spend some time. So, in Delhi, parking is expensive. In this city, parking is everywhere free. And also, I don't know if it's a factor of parking infrastructure, it's a habit, it's a culture.
Entitlement.
But why is parking free? Why is government giving money on the table?
Because whenever we tried to have paid parking in Bangalore, people have opposed it. There is a lobby that opposes parking.
But it is also a factor of penalties, right? People are not penalized. In Delhi, if you park wrongly,
enforcement,
your cars get towed away, right? Or you pay such a massive one time that next time you swear that you are not going to park illegally.
These are classic governance issues about enforcement and about the agency of the people that do parking. They feel entitled that, oh, I paid lifetime road tax when I bought a car, that means for a lifetime I can park anywhere I want. Who are you to tell me, right? And that has a lot of traction, that kind of thinking, right? So this is a complex public policy issue, but many cities have solved it with technology and with better enforcement and area level problems.
Yes,
You
yes.
can't solve it at a city scale. You have to solve it. CBD has one of the best paid parking things. You go to Church Street, you go to Cunningham Road, you had all of these things. The car is detected by the RFID thing, and then you go to the station and it will give you the car number, or you could pay with UPI. You could be
Now
sitting in
there
the
is-
office.
So why have we not scaled it up
didn't
across
survive.
different parts?
It didn't survive
It didn't
because no political will, right? So the people that are need to make this goes back to same point is made. The people that are driving in these white Fortuners with the chauffeurs, they are not used to paying for parking.
So it's basically
But
what you
any
were
other
talking
country-
about, a small
Oh,
town, this
I want
was.
to bring this issue of fighting over toll.
Huh.
I'm just curious if it's there in other countries that we burn down toll stations. Then we have a long list of people. Like toll is such a small cost to the capital cost of the car.
It's ego, I think.
Yeah, so
मेरे को नहीं
that's a
देना
good
है.
example of culture, right?
Yeah.
We feel that if you go to a toll gate, there are 25 people who don't
Yeah.
pay toll. I mean, what the hell?
The,
Why do we have exemptions for toll? Because it's an ego issue, right? So this entitlement of the car owner extends to I will not pay toll and I will use the road for free. Toll hurts, but we want a good road.
Fantastic conversation. Thank you so much. So thank you so much. Delighted to have this conversation.
Same here.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Wonderful
Thank
to
you.
Yeah.